Have you ever stood in a world overflowing with everything, yet felt an aching void within? A world of noise where the one sound you long for, the sound of your own quiet contentment, is nowhere to be found. You have followed the maps society has drawn, run the races it has set, and gathered the treasures it has promised. Yet you stand at the finish line, trophies in hand, and feel not the weight of victory, but the unsettling lightness of a hollow echo. You have done everything you were told would make you happy, would make you whole, would make you feel prosperous. And yet, a persistent, quiet whisper remains, asking, is this all there is? This feeling is not a sign that you have failed. It is not a mark of something broken within you. On the contrary, it is a sign of life. A sacred, intelligent signal from the deepest part of your being that you are ready for something more real. This aching void is not a pit of despair, but a summons, an invitation to stop looking outside for what can only, and has only, ever been found within. It is the beginning of a return journey, back to a truth you have forgotten. There is a currency that the world does not trade in, a wealth that cannot be counted or stored in a vault. It is a state of being, a resonance, a frequency. It is the secret frequency of prosperity, and it does not scream for attention in the marketplace of the world. It hums, quietly and eternally, in the temple of your own inner space. The endless pursuit of more, the constant striving and comparison, the noise of the world, all of it is merely static, drowning out the subtle, beautiful signal that is your birthright. So for a moment, let us step away from that noise. Let this space, right here and now, be a sanctuary. Let these words be a guide, leading you out of the static and into the stillness where that signal can finally be heard. This is not a journey to acquire something you do not have. It is a journey to uncover and awaken the infinite wealth that is already, and has always been, you. The door is not locked. It has been waiting patiently for you to simply turn the handle. Let us begin. It begins as a whisper, so faint it is almost mistaken for the sound of your own breath. A quiet thought that flickers at the edge of awareness when you look at something beautiful, something you desire, something that represents a life you ache to live. The whisper says, not for you. It is there when you dream of starting a new venture. The whisper says, it's too risky. It is there when you feel a moment of pure joy, and the whisper cautions, don't get too comfortable, it won't last. Over time, this whisper finds the empty spaces within you, the hollows carved out by past disappointments and inherited fears. And in those spaces, it no longer whispers, it echoes. This is the frequency of scarcity, a resonant hum of not enough that vibrates beneath the surface of everything, coloring your choices, limiting your vision, and subtly convincing you that the universe is a barren place of fierce competition and limited supply. To begin this journey, we must first face this echo. We must stand still within the canyon of our own mind and trace this sound back to its source. This programming does not begin by choice. It is installed, piece by piece, long before we have the capacity to question its validity. It is the language of the world we are born into. We learn it in the worried conversations of our parents, overheard from another room, their hushed tones about bills and mortgages becoming the background music of our childhood. We absorb it in the cautionary tales of "be realistic," a phrase that is almost always a euphemism for dream smaller. The belief that love is conditional, something to be earned through good behavior, plants a seed of scarcity in the heart. The school system, with its ranked grades and competitive sports, teaches us that one person's success necessitates another's failure. There is only one first place. The supply of approval is finite. We are taught, implicitly and explicitly, that life is a zero-sum game. To get your slice of the pie means someone else's slice must be smaller. And so we build our lives upon this foundation of sand. We learn to clutch, to hoard, to protect what little we believe we have. We see a colleague's promotion not as a celebration of shared success, but as a threat, a sign that we have been left behind. We hesitate to invest in ourselves, in a course, in a retreat, in our own healing, because the echo tells us that resources are precious and must be saved for a future catastrophe that it is perpetually predicting. This is the internal conflict, the silent, grinding war fought every single day. Your soul, which knows its own infinite nature, yearns to expand, to create, to give freely from a bottomless well of creativity and love. It urges you to take the inspired leap, to write the book, to start the business, to speak your truth. It knows, with a certainty that transcends logic, that the universe is abundant, a field of infinite possibility. But then the echo answers back. It is the voice of the conditioned mind, the warden of your self-imposed prison. And it is clever. It does not sound like a monster. It sounds like reason. It sounds like practicality. It says, let's be logical about this. 90% of new businesses fail. It says, you have a family to think about. You cannot afford to be reckless. It says, who are you to think you can achieve that? People who are smarter, richer, and more connected than you have tried and failed. It masquerades as wisdom, but it is merely the ghost of old fears, the recorded voice of past limitations. This conflict is what creates the paralysis. It is the exhaustion of living with one foot on the accelerator of your dreams and the other pressed firmly on the brake of your fear. You want to live a life of freedom and flow, but the echo of scarcity keeps you anchored to the shore, convincing you the ocean is a place not of adventure, but of drowning. Here is the truth that will set you free. The core message that, once truly understood, begins to dissolve the very walls of the canyon from which the echo reverberates. Scarcity is not the reality of the world. It is a filter placed over your perception of it. It is a distorted lens that makes an abundant world appear desolate. The sun does not worry if it has enough light to give. A river does not fret about having enough water to flow to the sea. A forest does not believe in a limited supply of oxygen. They exist in a state of grace, of giving and receiving, of effortless flow. This is the true nature of reality. The state of lack is a human invention, a phantom, a story we have told ourselves for so long that we have forgotten it is just a story. The first, most powerful step you can take is to simply recognize this, to see the echo for what it is, an illusion. It is not your voice. It is not the truth. It is a program running in the background, and you, the user, have the power to bring it to the forefront of the screen, examine its code, and choose to uninstall it. How do we begin this process of uninstalling a program that has run for our entire lives? Not with force. Fighting the echo only makes it louder. You cannot scream at an echo to make it go away. You only give it more sound to reflect. The approach is one of supreme gentleness. It is a practice of quiet observation. For the next week, I invite you to become a detached scientist of your own mind. Your only job is to notice the moments when the frequency of scarcity arises. When you find yourself saying, "I can't afford that," do not judge yourself. Do not believe the thought or fight it. Simply notice it. Say internally, "Ah, there it is, the echo." When fear of a competitor arises or jealousy of a friend's success, simply observe. Interesting, the scarcity program is running. This act of noticing, without judgment, creates a space between you and the thought. In that space, you reclaim your power. You are no longer the thought. You are the one who observes the thought. The echo may still sound, but you are no longer in the canyon being deafened by it. You are on the cliff top, watching it, seeing it for the first time as a mere phenomenon of sound, not as an undeniable truth. Once you have become adept at noticing, you can begin the next practice, a gentle inquiry. When you catch a scarcity thought in the wild, ask it a few simple, curious questions. Again, this is not an interrogation. It is an act of compassionate discovery. You might ask, where did I learn this belief? As you sit with the question, an image might float up from your childhood, a phrase a teacher once said, a feeling you had when your family struggled. Simply witness it, then ask, whose voice is this, really? Often you will find it is the voice of a parent, a grandparent, or a collective cultural fear. It is not your authentic voice. Finally, ask the most important question of all. Does believing this thought, does running this program, make me feel expansive and powerful, or does it make me feel contracted and small? The answer will always be the same. Scarcity constricts, abundance expands. Your emotional body does not lie. It is your ultimate compass, guiding you back to your true north. This is the work. It is the slow, patient, and deeply rewarding process of starving the echo. You starve it by no longer feeding it your belief. You starve it by no longer giving it your emotional reaction. You stand in the canyon of your mind, and instead of shouting your fears into it, you become silent. You observe the old echoes as they fade, their power diminishing with each passing reflection. You begin to notice, in the growing silence, another sound, a deeper hum, a quiet vibration that was there all along, but was simply drowned out. It is the sound of your own life force. It is the frequency of your own inherent worthiness. It is the foundational tone of abundance upon which the universe is built. But this inner work, this sacred silencing of the internal echo, is only half the equation. For this echo is not generated in a vacuum. It is amplified, validated, and fed a constant stream of energy by the deafening noise of the world outside. To truly find our frequency, we must not only quiet the ghost within, but we must also learn to turn the dial on the relentless static of the external world. The inner echo of scarcity, that ghost of not enough, that haunts the quiet corners of the mind, is a formidable adversary on its own. But it does not exist in a vacuum. It thrives because it is perpetually nourished from the outside. Imagine trying to have a quiet, intimate conversation in the middle of a roaring stadium. Imagine trying to hear a delicate melody played on a single violin during a deafening rock concert. This is the challenge we face every single day. The inner echo is fed and amplified by a relentless, overwhelming barrage of external noise. A cacophony of opinions, advertisements, curated images, and manufactured emergencies that we have come to call normal life. This is the great static of the modern world. And before we can truly hear ourselves, we must first learn to turn down the volume. This static is not a single sound. It is 1,000 different frequencies attacking your senses at once. It is the endless scroll on your phone, a river of information designed by the world's brightest minds to be addictive, to keep your thumb moving and your attention captured. It is the 24-hour news cycle, an engine that runs on the fuel of fear, crisis, and lack. Its business model is to convince you that the world is perpetually on the brink of collapse, that you are unsafe, and that there is always something new to worry about. This is not information. It is a form of psychic warfare, a constant assault on your nervous system that keeps you in a state of low-grade anxiety, making the calm frequency of prosperity impossible to feel. And then there is perhaps the most insidious source of static, the engine of comparison we call social media. Here, you are presented not with reality, but with a meticulously edited highlight reel of millions of other lives. You scroll through carefully constructed images of other people's victories, their perfect vacations, their flawless families, their business successes. You are in effect comparing your raw, uncut, behind-the-scenes footage with all its messy, uncertain, and ordinary moments to everyone else's cinematic final product. With every scroll, a quiet transaction takes place. You trade a piece of your own contentment for a dose of manufactured envy. The static whispers, "See, they have it figured out. They have more. They are more." Your life, by comparison, is lacking. It is a direct injection of the scarcity virus into your consciousness, reinforcing the echo within you that you are not enough as you are. This deluge of external information is compounded by the tyranny of expectations. This is the static generated by the well-meaning but often misguided voices of others, the chorus of shoulds and supposed tos from family, friends, and society at large. You should have a certain career by this age. You're supposed to be married with children. You should want a bigger house, a faster car, a more prestigious title. This external noise dictates a definition of prosperity that may have absolutely nothing to do with your soul's true calling. It becomes so loud, so pervasive, that it can completely drown out your own inner voice, that quiet knowing of what truly brings you peace and fulfillment. Many of us live our entire lives trying to tune our own instrument to match the dissonant orchestra of the crowd, wondering why our own music sounds so hollow and joyless. This creates a profound internal conflict. There is a part of you, the conditioned part, that is terrified of unplugging. It has been trained to believe that being constantly connected is a virtue. It equates being informed with being responsible. It suffers from a deep-seated fear of missing out, the anxiety that if you look away for a moment, the world will pass you by, an opportunity will be lost, or you will be deemed irrelevant. This part of you craves the static. It is a nervous addiction, a need to fill every spare moment of silence with a podcast, a video, a stream of text, because in the silence, the deeper discomforts might begin to surface. But there is another part of you, your deeper self, your soul, and it is exhausted. It is psychically worn down from the constant state of reactivity. It craves stillness the way lungs crave air. It knows that clarity is not found in more information, but in less. It understands that your greatest ideas, your most profound epiphanies, and your deepest sense of peace will never, ever arrive through a notification on your phone. They are born in the spaces between thoughts, in the sacred pauses you allow yourself. The conflict, then, is between the perceived duty to engage with the world's noise and the soul's desperate need for sanctuary. It is a battle between being a citizen of the digital chaos and being a healthy, whole inhabitant of your own inner world. Here is the liberating truth that cuts through the noise. You cannot hear the whisper of your soul over the roar of the crowd. You cannot tune into the subtle, high-vibrational frequency of authentic prosperity while your mind is being bombarded by the low-vibrational static of fear and comparison. The choice to selectively disengage is not an act of ignorance, selfishness, or weakness. It is one of the most radical, powerful, and self-honoring acts you can perform in the modern world. It is a declaration of sovereignty over your own attention. It is you, standing as the guardian of your own mind, saying, "This far and no further. My inner peace is more valuable than your ceaseless noise." You must understand this. You cannot find your station on the radio if you are constantly scanning all the other channels. Choosing to cultivate silence is an act of supreme power. So how do we begin to turn the dial? How do we find our way back to a place of clarity? We start by making small, conscious choices. We begin an information diet. You are meticulous about the food you put into your body. It is time to become just as meticulous about the information you feed your mind. Start by unsubscribing. Go through your email and mercilessly unsubscribe from the promotional lists and newsletters that clutter your space. Go through your social media feeds and unfollow any account that, after you see its content, consistently leaves you feeling worse about yourself. This is not censorship. It is curation. You are the curator of the museum of your mind. Choose your exhibits with care. Next, you must create pockets of sacred silence. You must intentionally build oases of stillness into the desert of your noisy days. Begin with a phoneless walk. Leave your device at home and walk for 15 minutes. At first, your mind will feel twitchy, reaching for a phantom phone in your pocket. But stay with the feeling. Notice the color of the sky. Feel the sensation of the air on your skin. Listen to the sound of your own footsteps. You will be astonished at how the world comes alive, how your own senses sharpen when they are not being filtered through a 4-inch screen. Introduce a digital sunset. An hour before you intend to sleep, declare all screens off. No more scrolling in bed, no more falling asleep to the blue light of a screen. Allow your mind the time it needs to power down, to process the day, to glide naturally into restful sleep. And for those who are truly brave, who are truly committed to this work, consider the practice of a weekly digital Sabbath. Choose a few hours, or even a full day, on the weekend where you are intentionally offline. Inform your loved ones, and then put the phone away. Let the world spin without your constant supervision. You may feel anxious at first, but that anxiety will soon be replaced by a profound sense of peace and freedom. You will find that your attention returns to you. You will read a book. You will have a real conversation. You will hear your own thoughts with a clarity you haven't experienced in years. This is not about what you are losing. It is all about what you are reclaiming. You are reclaiming your attention, your time, and your sanity. Think of your mind as a magnificent, powerful old radio. For years, the dial has been stuck between loud, aggressive commercial stations, full of jarring advertisements and angry talk shows. The sound is full of hissing and crackling static. It's draining to listen to. The practices of turning off notifications, of curating your feed, of taking phoneless walks, these are the acts of you reaching out a steady hand and gently, patiently turning the tuning knob. With each conscious choice, you move the dial away from the noise. You are searching for a clear signal. At first, you may only find more static or an unsettling silence you are not used to. But you must keep turning, patiently, faithfully, because somewhere on that dial is a quiet, clear broadcast. It is playing the most beautiful music you have ever heard. It is the music of your own soul. It is the frequency of peace, of clarity, of true prosperity. And as the outer noise recedes, you will discover a vast, quiet space opening up within you, a space that is waiting to be claimed, to be honored. This is the ground upon which you will now consciously build. This is the architecture of your inner temple. As you begin to turn down the relentless static of the external world, something remarkable happens. A space begins to open up. At first, this inner clearing may feel unfamiliar, even unsettling in its emptiness. For so long, your sense of self has been defined by the noise, by the reflections you see in the eyes of others, by the structures you have built in the outer world. We are taught from our first breath to build outwards. We are given a blueprint by society, a checklist for a successful life, the right education, the right career, the right partner, the right home, the right portfolio. We become architects of an external identity, carefully constructing a facade of accomplishments that we hope will prove our worth, both to the world and to ourselves. And so, when the noise that validated these structures recedes, we are left standing in a quiet, open field within, and we are faced with the most important question of our lives. Now, what will you build here? The structures we build in the outer world are, by their very nature, precarious. We build our identity on the foundation of a job title, forgetting that the company can restructure at any moment. We build it on the size of our bank account, forgetting that markets can crash and fortunes can vanish. We build it on the foundation of a relationship, forgetting that people change and grow, sometimes in different directions. We build our house on rented land, and we are shocked and devastated when the landlord eventually comes to reclaim the property. This is the source of so much human suffering. It is the terror of identity collapse. When the job is lost, when the money is gone, when the relationship ends, the person whose entire sense of self was invested in that external form feels that they, too, have ceased to exist. They are left in the rubble of a life they thought was solid, feeling not just loss, but a terrifying sense of annihilation. This is the great, silent conflict of the soul. There is a part of us that is drawn to the tangible, the measurable. It is comforting to point to a diploma on the wall or a title on a business card. This external work is often praised, rewarded, and celebrated by the world. The path is clear, if not always easy. The steps are laid out. But the other kind of work, the most vital work, is invisible. It is the slow, patient, and often solitary work of building an inner sanctuary. There are no promotions for this, no awards, no public recognition. It is the work of choosing integrity when no one is watching. It is the work of cultivating peace in the midst of chaos. It is the work of getting to know the core of your own being, separate from all external roles and achievements. The conflict lies in choosing to undertake this sacred, invisible construction when the world is constantly screaming for you to build another flashy, temporary extension onto your external facade. It is the choice between the easy comfort of a decorated tent and the profound, demanding labor of laying the foundations for a stone temple that will withstand any storm. Here is the core message, the foundational principle for this new architecture. Stop building your life on rented land. The time has come to begin the sacred work of constructing your inner temple. This is the only structure that can never be taken from you. It is the only property you will ever truly own. This temple is not a fantasy or a piece of poetic imagery. It is the tangible, energetic reality of your inner state. Its foundations are your core values. Its pillars are your integrity. Its walls are your self-respect. Its windows are your awareness. True, lasting, resonant prosperity, the kind that brings with it a deep sense of peace and well-being, is not a vagrant. It will not stand for long in a flimsy, chaotic, or neglected structure. It seeks a worthy home. It is drawn to spaces that are solid, beautiful, and sacred. Your work, therefore, is not to chase prosperity through the streets. Your work is to become the architect and mason of an inner sanctuary so magnificent that prosperity, in all its forms, desires to seek refuge there, to take up residence, to dwell with you. So how does one begin to build such a temple? You begin with the blueprints. You begin by identifying the foundation stones, your core values. Not the values society has handed you, but the ones that resonate in the deepest chamber of your heart. To find them, ask yourself these questions in a moment of stillness. What qualities move you to tears when you witness them in others? Courage, compassion, creativity, wisdom. What to you is more important than money or fame or approval? Is it freedom? Is it connection? Is it peace? What does your soul yearn for in its quietest moments when all the masks are off? Make a list. Write these words down. Choose the 3 or 4 that feel most essential, most non-negotiable. These are your foundation stones. This is the solid ground upon which everything else will be built. Let us say you choose peace, integrity, and freedom. This is the base of your temple. With the foundation laid, the daily construction begins. Every thought you think is a brick. Every choice you make is an act of masonry. At the end of each day, you can begin the practice of reviewing your work with the gentle eyes of a master builder, not a harsh critic. Ask yourself, did my actions today align with my foundation? Did the way I spoke to others honor the pillar of integrity? Did the choices I made about my time and energy support the foundation of peace? Did I allow myself moments of authentic self-expression, honoring the principle of freedom? You will see that some days you have added beautiful, solid stonework to your temple. You kept a promise. You chose kindness over being right. You said no to something that would have compromised your peace. Other days, you may find you have left mud and clutter on the floor. You engaged in gossip. You acted from fear. You numbed yourself with distraction. Do not despair. This is not cause for shame. It is simply information. Tomorrow, you have the chance to sweep the floors clean and lay another course of bricks with greater awareness. The architecture of this temple extends to what you allow inside its walls. You are the gatekeeper. The books you read, the music you listen to, the films you watch, the conversations you have, these are the furnishings and the art you choose to place within your sacred space. Does this podcast elevate the energy of your temple, or does it bring in the noise of the marketplace? Does this friendship feel like a beautiful, nourishing fountain in the courtyard, or does it feel like a leaky roof, constantly dripping anxiety and negativity into your space? You begin to make choices not based on obligation or habit, but on a simple question: is this worthy of my temple? Your emotions become the colors with which you paint the walls. You can choose to paint them with the vibrant, warm colors of gratitude, joy, and appreciation. Or you can allow them to be stained with the drab, cold grays of resentment, worry, and blame. The choice is always yours, in every moment. Slowly, day by day, choice by choice, brick by brick, your temple rises. It becomes a real place within you, a sanctuary of profound stability and peace. The storms of the outer world will still come. The winds of change will still blow. People will disappoint you, plans will fail, and the world will continue its chaotic dance. But you will have a place to return to. You will have a core of unshakable stillness and strength. Your sense of self will no longer be dependent on the shifting sands of external circumstance. You will know who you are because you have consciously built who you are. The opinions of others become like birds flying past your temple windows. You can observe them, but they cannot damage the stone. The need for external validation withers away, replaced by the quiet, solid dignity of a self that is home. And when you have built this temple, when you have learned to tend to it and dwell within it, you are ready to explore its most sacred chamber. You walk through the halls of your own integrity, past the gardens of your own peace, and you approach the innermost sanctum. You push open the final door. And what do you find inside? Not a golden throne, not a treasure chest, not an idol to be worshipped. You find something far more precious. In the very heart of your temple, at the center of its unshakable foundation, there is only a profound, generative, and resonant silence. It is not an empty silence. It is a silence that is full. It is the source code of all creation. This is the currency of the soul, the foundation upon which your entire temple rests. This is the stillness from which all true prosperity is born. You have entered the innermost sanctum of your temple. The air here is different. The frantic energy of the marketplace cannot penetrate these walls. Here, at the very core of your being, you have discovered not a thing, but a quality, a presence. You have discovered a deep, resonant stillness. For a mind accustomed to constant noise, this initial encounter can be jarring. This silence is not empty, it is spacious. It is not an absence of sound, it is the presence of a profound, listening quiet. This stillness is the very foundation of your temple, the source from which its power is drawn. And in the economy of the soul, the economy that governs true prosperity, this stillness is the most precious and valuable currency you will ever possess. Yet, we are terrified of it. We have been conditioned to be masters of distraction, adept at filling every single unoccupied moment. We have a deep cultural horror of empty space, a fear of the void. Observe yourself. In the 30 seconds waiting for a traffic light to change, in the moments standing in line for coffee, in the brief pause between tasks at work. What is the immediate, compulsive impulse? It is to reach for the phone, to fill the space, to consume a sliver of information, to distract the mind from the perceived terror of being alone with itself for even a moment. We treat silence as a void to be filled rather than a presence to be explored. Why? Because in the stillness, there is nowhere left to run. The anxieties we have successfully suppressed with busyness begin to whisper. The unresolved emotions we have anesthetized with noise begin to stir. The uncomfortable truths we have avoided with endless activity begin to surface. The noise is our shield. Our frantic doing is our most potent drug. This creates one of the most fundamental conflicts in the human experience, the battle between doing and being. Our world worships at the altar of doing. We are measured, valued, and rewarded based on our output, our productivity, our ability to juggle multiple tasks and maintain a packed schedule. Busy has become a badge of honor, a synonym for important. We have come to believe that if we are not actively moving, striving, producing, and achieving, we are failing. We feel guilty for resting, lazy for contemplating, and unproductive for simply being. We are like marathon runners who believe the only way to win is to sprint from the starting line, never pausing for water, never pacing themselves, inevitably leading to burnout and collapse. But the great wisdom traditions, the insights of history's most profound thinkers, and the quiet knowing in your own soul all point to a different truth. The most revolutionary ideas, the most brilliant solutions, the most sublime works of art are almost never born from a state of frantic activity. They are born from stillness. They emerge in the moments of rest, in the shower, on a long walk, in the quiet space just before sleep. They are received, not forced. They are downloaded, not manufactured. The conflict is between the ego, which believes it must control and conquer reality through constant effort, and the soul, which knows that true power lies in becoming still enough to align with the creative intelligence of the universe. To stop moving feels like falling behind, but the truth is, it is only when you stop moving that you can finally feel the subtle, powerful current of the river that is meant to carry you. This is why stillness is the ultimate currency. In the loud, chaotic marketplace of the world, we trade our time and energy for money and possessions. But in the sacred economy of the soul, we trade our noise and restlessness for something infinitely more valuable: clarity. Stillness is not passive. It is not empty. It is a state of supreme, active receptivity. It is the practice of becoming a clear channel. Your mind is like a lake. When it is constantly churned by the winds of anxiety, worry, and overthinking, the surface is choppy and the water is clouded with sediment. If you look into a turbulent lake, what do you see? A distorted, fragmented, and confusing reflection of the world. You cannot see the sky. You cannot see the depths. This is the state of the busy mind. It offers only distorted data and confused reflections. But when you commit to cultivating stillness, you are making the choice to let the winds die down. You are allowing the sediment to settle. Slowly, the water becomes clear. The surface becomes as smooth and reflective as polished glass. And now, when you look into the lake of your mind, you see a perfect, crystal-clear reflection of the sky above. You see the truth of your situation without the distortion of fear. You see the path forward without the confusion of 1,000 conflicting opinions. You receive the answer to the problem you have been wrestling with for weeks. The answer was always there. The wisdom was always available. Your own inner turbulence was simply making it impossible to see. Stillness is what allows you to hear the whisper of intuition over the shouting of your fear. It is the currency that buys you access to the universal intelligence. So, how do we begin to accumulate this precious currency, especially when we feel bankrupt of it? We start with a practice of profound simplicity. I invite you to invest just 5 minutes a day. Find a place where you can sit undisturbed. Set a timer for 5 minutes, and then simply sit. The instruction is not to clear your mind. That is a futile goal that will only lead to frustration. The mind's job is to think, just as the heart's job is to beat. You cannot stop it by force. The instruction is simply to listen. Close your eyes and listen to the sounds in your environment. The hum of a refrigerator, a distant siren, the birds outside your window. Listen without labeling or judging. Then, bring your awareness to the silence that exists underneath and between the sounds. Feel the spaciousness of the room around you, and inevitably, your mind will begin its frantic dance. The monkey mind will swing from branch to branch, chattering about your to-do list, replaying a conversation from yesterday, worrying about tomorrow. This is not a failure. This is the practice itself. Your job is to notice, with the gentle amusement of a loving grandparent, "Ah, there goes the mind," off on its adventure again. And then, gently, without force or frustration, you guide your attention back to the sound, back to the feeling of your breath, back to the silence. Each time you do this, and you may do it 50 times, in 5 minutes you are performing a sacred repetition. You are strengthening a muscle. You are weakening the habit of compulsive thinking and strengthening the habit of centered awareness. As you continue this practice, you will begin to notice something subtle and profound. You will start to perceive the space between your thoughts. For a fraction of a second, after one thought ends and before the next one begins, there is a gap, a tiny clearing of pure, silent awareness. At first, it is fleeting, but with practice, this space begins to expand. This space is the source. This space is the stillness. This is the currency. It is in this silent, spacious gap that inspiration is born. It is here that deep healing occurs. It is from this place that you will receive your most valuable guidance. You are learning to access the creative void from which all things manifest. This is the power of stillness. It is not about escaping the world. It is about becoming more effective within it. The clarity you gain from your still lake allows you to act with precision and power rather than reacting from a place of confusion and anxiety. You no longer waste your energy fighting imagined battles or chasing phantoms. You see the one true, inspired step to take. From this pristine stillness, this profound clarity, a new kind of knowing arises. It is not a thought. It is a feeling, a deep, unshakable conviction, a clarity so sharp and so pure. It is like finding a perfect, unblemished diamond in the depths of your settled lake. This clarity is the raw material of creation. And now, with this diamond in hand, we will walk from the sanctum of the temple to the heat of the forge. We will learn how to take this precious clarity and shape it into the unbreakable sword of intention. You have walked from the silent, holy sanctum of your inner temple, and now you stand at the door of a different kind of sacred space, the forge. You carry with you the reward of your stillness, that precious, unblemished diamond of clarity you discovered in the depths of your own quiet mind. It is beautiful, it is pure, it is full of potential, but in its current form, it is passive. Clarity, by itself, does not build a new reality. It merely shows you what is possible. To activate its power, to transform its potential energy into kinetic force, you must subject it to fire and pressure. The work now shifts from the receptive to the active. It is time to take the raw material of your newfound clarity and forge it into a tool of immense power. It is time to craft the sword of your intention. For most of our lives, we do not wield swords. We clutch handfuls of vague wishes, like children holding fistfuls of dandelion seeds, blowing them into the wind and hoping for the best. We say things like, "I wish I were happier," or "I just want to be wealthy," or "I hope I find love someday." These are not intentions. They are nebulous, formless clouds of desire. They lack the density, the focus, and the power to make any real impact on the fabric of reality. To tell the universe, "I want to be rich," is like telling a master architect, "Build me a nice house." The architect will simply hand you back the plans and say, "I cannot begin until you are specific. How many rooms? What style? Where is the land? What is the budget?" The subconscious mind and the creative intelligence of the universe work in the same way. They require a clear blueprint. A vague wish sends a scattered, incoherent signal, and in return, you receive scattered, incoherent results. The energy is dissipated, wasted, like light from a bare bulb spreading weakly in all directions. This vagueness is often a symptom of a deeper internal conflict. We remain vague because we are afraid of clarity. To state a clear, precise, and bold intention is a terrifying act for the ego. Why? Firstly, because it makes failure feel absolute. If you declare, "My intention is to build a successful online business that generates $100,000 in profit this year," and you do not achieve it, the ego has a clear metric by which to judge you a failure. It is much safer to simply wish for more money, because that goal is so undefined you can never truly fall short of it. It is a form of self-protection that keeps you perpetually in the starting blocks. Secondly, we fear the responsibility that a clear intention demands. A true intention is a call to action. It is a declaration that you are no longer a passive drifter, but the captain of your ship, setting a definite course. This means you are now responsible for steering, for navigating the storms, for becoming the person who is capable of reaching that destination. It is often easier to remain aimless, to be tossed about by the waves of circumstance, because then we can always blame the wind and the tides for our lack of progress. Lastly, we fear clarity because the old echo of scarcity whispers that we are not worthy of it. "Who are you?" it murmurs, "to dare to ask for something so specific, so bold, so magnificent?" And so, we hedge our bets. We keep our desires small and fuzzy, hoping not to draw the attention of a disapproving God or a competitive universe. But the cost of this so-called safety is the quiet, soul-crushing exhaustion of a life lived without direction. The pain of drifting is always, in the end, greater than the fear of setting a course. Now is the time to abandon the way of the wish and embrace the power of intention. Understand this fundamental distinction. An intention is not a gentle request. It is not a hope. It is a command. It is a decree issued from the seat of your power. It is a focused beam of energy, like a laser, that you send forth into the field of possibility. It is a signal transmitted with unwavering conviction to every cell in your body, to the vast intelligence of your subconscious mind, and to the responsive fabric of the universe itself. A true intention aligns all levels of your being toward a single, unified outcome. It is the moment you stop asking for permission and start claiming your birthright as a co-creator of your reality. So, let us enter the forge and begin the work. First, you must take your diamond of clarity and write it down. Do not simply think it. The act of taking a thought from the ethereal realm of the mind and giving it physical form on a piece of paper is a powerful act of creation in itself. It is your first commitment. Next, you must craft the language with precision. You will write your intention not as a future hope, but as a present tense reality. Your subconscious mind, the engine of your reality, does not understand future tense. For it, there is only now. To say, "I will be financially free," is to instruct your subconscious that financial freedom is always in the future, always just out of reach. Instead, you must state your intention as if it is already your reality. "I am living a life of complete financial freedom and abundant ease. I am in a loving, respectful, and joyous relationship. I am the healthy, vibrant, and energetic owner of my ideal body." This act of faith collapses time. It begins to rewire your brain and your energy field to match the reality you are calling in. You are not lying, you are commanding your reality into being. A command written in words is merely the shape of the sword. It is cold iron. To give it power, it must be heated in the fire. The fire of the forge is your emotion. An intention without feeling is a dead letter. You must generate within your own body the feeling of the wish already fulfilled. As you read your present tense statement, feel it. What does financial freedom feel like? Is it a sense of profound relief in your chest, a feeling of lightness in your shoulders, a surge of joy and excitement? Generate that feeling now. What does vibrant health feel like? Is it a thrum of energy in your limbs, a feeling of clarity in your mind, a deep sense of gratitude for your body? Dwell in that feeling. This is the most crucial step. The universe does not respond to your words. It responds to your frequency. The feeling is the frequency. The feeling is the fire that makes the iron malleable. With the iron hot, you must now begin to shape it with the hammer. The hammer is your focused attention. This is not a ritual to be performed once and then forgotten. It is a practice of returning, again and again, to your forged intention. Read it in the morning. Feel it before you sleep. When moments of doubt or the old echoes of scarcity arise during your day, you bring your focus back to the sword. Each time you consciously choose to feel the feeling of your intention fulfilled, you are striking the hot iron with the hammer of your focus. You are shaping it, strengthening it, hardening it, giving it a keen edge. You are beating out the impurities of doubt and fear. Each repetition makes the blade stronger, sharper, and more real. This process transforms your vague wish into a razor-sharp sword of intention. And what is a sword for? It is a tool for decisive action. It is what allows you to cut through the dense jungle of procrastination. It allows you to sever the tangled vines of other people's opinions. It helps you cut through the thick fog of confusion and see the next inspired step with absolute clarity. When you hold a clear intention, you will find that the world begins to organize itself around you. The right people appear, the right opportunities surface. The path, which was once invisible, begins to illuminate, one step at a time. Now, you stand back from the anvil. Before you lies a magnificent creation. The blade is strong, sharp, and perfectly balanced. It hums with the power of your emotion and your focus. It is a worthy tool, ready to carve a new path for you in the world. But there is one final step in the ancient art of sword making. Before the blade is ready for its journey, it must be enchanted, it must be magnetized, so that it not only cuts through obstacles but also draws to it what it seeks. The final step is to imbue this powerful tool with the highest, most attractive frequency in the universe. It is time to dip your newly forged sword into the golden, shimmering waters of pure gratitude. You now stand with the sword of your intention in hand. It is a thing of beauty and power, forged in stillness, hammered into shape by your focus, and cooled in the waters of your commitment. It is sharp, true, and ready. But a sword, no matter how masterfully crafted, is still just cold steel. To complete its creation, to transform it from a mere tool into a legendary, magnetic talisman, it requires a final enchantment. We must now engage in the most sacred of all the magical arts. We must become the alchemist. And the philosopher's stone, that legendary substance capable of turning base metals into pure gold, is something you already possess in infinite supply. This legendary catalyst is the frequency of gratitude. Our minds, by default, are not alchemists. They are scarcity scanners. Due to an ancient survival instinct, the human brain is wired with a negativity bias. It is constantly scanning your life and your environment, not for what is good and whole, but for what is wrong, what is missing, and what is threatening. This was useful when the threats were saber-toothed tigers. But in our modern world, this scanner has become a source of chronic dissatisfaction. You achieve a long sought-after goal, and for a fleeting moment, there is joy. But within hours, or perhaps even minutes, the scanner reboots and begins searching for the next problem, the next insufficiency. You have a loving home, but you wish it were bigger. You have a steady income, but you resent your boss. You are healthy, but you worry about aging. That little word, but, is the sound of the alchemy failing. It is the sound of gold turning back into lead. This constant focus on the gap, on the deficiency, emits a powerful, persistent, and unwavering signal of lack out into the universe. And the universe, being the perfect mirror that it is, faithfully reflects this lack back to you. This is where the internal conflict arises for the modern, rational mind. The practice of gratitude can feel simplistic, even foolish, in the face of real-world problems. The skeptic within you, the voice of pure logic, scoffs at the idea. How can being grateful for a cup of coffee possibly help me pay my overdue bills? How can appreciating a sunset solve my profound loneliness? This is just wishful thinking, a childish game of pretend. This voice believes in a world of brute force, of solving problems by attacking them head-on, of wrestling reality into submission. It cannot comprehend the subtle, yet infinitely more powerful, laws of energy and resonance. The conflict is a battle between the ego's need to struggle and control and the soul's deep understanding that you cannot fight your way out of a frequency. You can only change the channel. Here is the core, transformative message. Gratitude is not a passive platitude to be offered after you get what you want. Gratitude is the alchemical agent itself. It is the active, vibrational catalyst that initiates the transformation. It is the most powerful and direct way to shift your energetic frequency from one of lack to one of abundance, instantly. Why? Because gratitude is the energetic signature of having already received. When you feel genuinely grateful, it is impossible to simultaneously feel lack. The two frequencies cannot coexist in the same space. By consciously choosing to feel gratitude now for what you already have, you are aligning your entire being with the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You are sending a command to your subconscious mind and a clear signal to the universe that says, "Thank you, I have received. All is well. I am provided for." It is the ultimate act of faith, a declaration that you trust the flow of life, and it is this trust that opens the floodgates for more to flow to you. The universe hears the feeling of thank you, and its only response is, "You are welcome. Here is more to be thankful for." It is crucial to understand that this is not a denial of hardship. You are not pretending your problems do not exist. That would be delusion. The alchemist does not pretend the lead is not lead. He accepts the lead for what it is, and then he applies the catalyst that transforms it. You can be in the midst of a terrible storm and still be profoundly grateful for the strength of your ship. You can be facing financial uncertainty and feel a wave of overwhelming gratitude for the food on your table tonight. It is not about ignoring the darkness. It is about choosing to turn on a light. The darkness is still there, but you are no longer stumbling around in it. You have changed your focus, and in doing so, you have changed your power. So, how do we, as practical alchemists, begin this transmutation? The process is simple in its execution, but profound in its effect. You will begin a daily practice of gratitude journaling. Every morning upon waking, or every evening before sleeping, you will take a notebook, a sacred space reserved only for this practice, and you will write down 3 specific things for which you are genuinely grateful. Specificity is key. I am grateful for my health is a fine thought, but it lacks the emotional charge. I am so deeply grateful for the feeling of my lungs filling with clean, cool air on my walk this morning. Now that has power. I am grateful for my partner is good. I am profoundly grateful for the way my partner looked at me today, with such love and acceptance in their eyes, making me feel completely seen. That is alchemy. The more specific the thought, the more real the resulting emotion. And the emotion is everything. This is not an intellectual exercise of list-making. It is a somatic, full-body experience. After you write down each specific point of gratitude, put down your pen, close your eyes, and feel it. Where does that feeling of gratitude live in your body? Is it a warmth that spreads through your chest? Is it a tingling sensation in your hands? Does it make you want to smile? Locate that physical sensation and hold your attention on it for at least 20 seconds. Breathe into it. Let it expand. This is the moment of transmutation. This is when the lead of your mundane reality is literally, energetically, being turned into the gold of perceived abundance. You are not just thinking a thought, you are becoming a feeling. You are changing your frequency. Extend this practice beyond your journal. Find gratitude in the things you have long since taken for granted. Feel a wave of thankfulness for the miracle of clean water flowing from your tap. As you get into your warm bed, feel a profound sense of gratitude for the simple luxury of shelter and comfort. As you eat your next meal, take a moment to be truly grateful for the chain of life and human effort that brought that food to your plate. This practice recalibrates your entire being. Your scarcity scanner begins to atrophy from disuse, and a new abundance scanner comes online. You begin to walk through your world, not looking for what is wrong, but actively searching for what is right, for what is beautiful, for what is a blessing. And what you seek, you always find. This is the final enchantment for your sword of intention. As you hold your intention in your mind, you simultaneously flood your body with the high-frequency feeling of gratitude. You are grateful for the clarity of the intention itself. You are grateful in advance for its manifestation. You are grateful for the universe that is already conspiring to bring it to you. You are dipping your sharp, focused blade into the liquid gold of gratitude, magnetizing it, making it an irresistible force in the universe. It no longer just cuts a path. It now draws your destination toward you. As this powerful alchemical process begins to work within you, as you begin to fill your consciousness with the golden light of gratitude, you will start to notice something else. The dense, heavy, leaden energies that have been stored within you for years will become more apparent. The old resentments, the past hurts, the limiting beliefs about yourself, they will feel deeply uncomfortable in contrast to your new, high frequency. They will feel like heavy, rusty anchors chained to your ankles. Gratitude, in its beautiful light, does not just show you the gold. It also illuminates the anchors that are preventing your ship from sailing into the golden dawn, and it gives you the desire and the strength to finally cut them loose. The alchemical practice of gratitude has begun its sacred work within you. It is a golden light that illuminates your inner world, transmuting the lead of your daily experience into the gold of appreciation. Your frequency is rising. You are beginning to feel a new sense of lightness, of buoyancy. But as this golden light fills your inner temple, it also casts long, dark shadows. For the first time, you can clearly see the things that do not resonate with this new high frequency. You begin to feel the presence of dense, heavy objects you have been unknowingly carrying with you on your entire journey. They are the rusty, jagged anchors of your past, and their chains are wrapped around your soul. As long as they remain, your ship, no matter how magnificent, cannot sail. These anchors take many forms. There is the heavy anchor of past failures, a business that collapsed, an investment that soured, a project that ended in ruin. You drag this anchor behind you, and its story becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Its chain rattles with the sound of, "I failed once, so I will surely fail again. I am not someone who succeeds." There is the anchor of resentment, perhaps the heaviest of them all. A betrayal by a friend, an injustice from a partner, a cruelty from a family member. You hold on to the story of being wronged, replaying the scene over and over in your mind, feeling the sting of the wound as if it were fresh each time. You believe you are holding onto your righteousness, but what you are truly holding is a lump of poison, and you are the one drinking it every single day. There is the subtle but powerful anchor of past criticism, the voice of a parent who said you would never amount to anything, the voice of a teacher who called you stupid, the voice of a peer who mocked your dreams. These voices, recorded decades ago, still play on an endless loop in the theater of your mind, reinforcing the echo of scarcity, telling you that you are not smart enough, not talented enough, not worthy enough. And there is even the deceptive anchor of past glory, the good old days, a time when you felt successful, happy, and alive. You cling to the memory of that golden age so tightly that it prevents you from creating a new one in the present. You are so busy looking backward at a fading sunset that you fail to see the brilliant new dawn rising right in front of you. This brings us to a profound and crucial internal conflict. Why do we so fiercely cling to the very things that cause us the most pain? The ego, in its misguided attempt to protect you, believes that these anchors are safety devices. It whispers, "Remember that betrayal, so you never trust anyone so foolishly again." It insists, "Never forget that failure, so you don't make the same stupid mistakes." It believes that by constantly replaying the pain, it is keeping you safe from future pain. It has mistaken the anchor for a life preserver. But the laws of energy and frequency reveal the devastating flaw in this logic. What you focus on, you energize. What you vibrate with, you attract. By keeping the memory of failure, betrayal, or hurt alive in your present moment awareness, you are not protecting yourself from it. You are perpetually tuning your own frequency to match it. You are sending out a constant signal that says, "I am a person who fails. I am a person who gets betrayed. I am a person who is a victim." And the universe, in its perfect, impersonal neutrality, simply responds to the signal you are transmitting, bringing you more circumstances that match that frequency. The anchor does not prevent you from hitting the rocks. The anchor keeps you hovering over the exact same shipwreck, day after day, year after year. To release the past is not to forget its lessons, it is to finally stop reliving its pain. This is the moment of truth. This is where you must make a choice. You cannot sail toward the beautiful, undiscovered islands of your future if your anchor is lodged firmly in the mud of your past. You cannot welcome a new reality with open arms if both of your hands are clenched in a death grip around old grievances. The time has come to cut the ropes. And the sharpest, most powerful axe you possess for this task is the practice of forgiveness. You must understand this clearly, for it is a truth that will set you free. Forgiveness is almost never for the other person. It is an act of radical and absolute self-liberation. When you forgive someone who has wronged you, you are not condoning their behavior. You are not saying what they did was okay. You are simply declaring, "Your actions will no longer have the power to poison my present. My peace is more valuable than my grievance. My future is more important than my past. I release you from my energy field. I cut the cord." And even more profound is the act of forgiving yourself. Forgiving yourself for past mistakes, for not knowing then what you know now, for staying too long, for not speaking up. This is the final, most essential cut that sets you truly free. To facilitate this profound release, we will now engage in a sacred ritual. This is not a mere symbolic gesture. It is a powerful act of energetic transmutation. Find a time and a place where you will not be disturbed. Take a piece of paper and a pen. Enter a state of quiet contemplation and begin to pull up the anchor chains from the murky depths of your memory. Write it all down. Write down the name of every person who has hurt you and what they did. Write down every failure that still haunts you. Write down every self-criticism and limiting belief that plays in your mind. Do not hold back. Fill the page with the poison. This is the act of acknowledging the weight, of seeing the anchors for what they are. When you are finished, read the list aloud one final time. Then, make a conscious, verbal declaration. You might say something like this: I see these experiences. I acknowledge the pain they have caused and the lessons they have taught me. I am grateful for the strength and wisdom I have gained. And now, with love and with power, I choose to release them. Their hold over me is broken. Their story is no longer my story. I am free. Now comes the transmutation. Take the paper and, in a safe and controlled manner, using a fireproof bowl or a fireplace, set it on fire. As you watch the paper curl and blacken, as you watch the flames consume the words, you must visualize the energetic cords that have bound you to these memories also being consumed. See the rusty chains becoming red hot, then melting, then vaporizing into nothingness. Watch as the heavy, dense burden transforms into light, heat, and weightless ash. Feel the shift in your own body. Feel the lightness replacing the density. Feel the buoyancy returning to your soul. When the ritual is complete, take the ashes and release them to the elements. Bury them in the earth or let the wind carry them away. This is the final act of letting go. Afterward, be gentle with yourself. Take a cleansing bath with salt. Go for a quiet walk in nature. Drink a large glass of pure water. You have just performed a major energetic surgery, and your system needs time to integrate the change. You have done the hard, necessary work of severing the ties to a past that no longer serves you. Now, feel into your new reality. Your ship is no longer tethered to the murky harbor of yesterday. It is floating, light and free, on the vast, open ocean of the present moment. The engine of your will is strong. The sword of your intention is at your side. The sails of your faith are ready to be hoisted. But for the first time, you are not fighting against a hidden weight. You are unburdened. You feel a new sense of space, a new potential for movement. You are no longer anchored. And because of this, you are now perfectly positioned to do something you could not do before. You can finally feel the natural, powerful current of the ocean beneath you. You are ready to stop struggling and start flowing. You are ready to enter the great river of receiving. Your ship is free. The heavy, rusted anchors of yesterday now lie dissolved on the ocean floor, their weight no longer a drag on your soul. You are floating in the vast, open water of the present moment, a new lightness in your being. In this newfound freedom, the old conditioned impulse might be to immediately grab the oars and begin paddling with all your might, to start hustling and making things happen. This is the way of struggle, the way of the world that believes prosperity must be wrestled from a stingy universe. But I invite you now to consider a different way. I invite you to ship your oars, to silence your engine, and to simply be still for a moment. I invite you to feel the subtle, powerful, and undeniable current that has been beneath you all along. This is the great cosmic river of abundance, and you have spent your life fighting its current, believing you had to swim upstream. The time has come to learn how to turn your ship around and flow with it. The time has come to master the sacred art of receiving. This is, for many, the most difficult part of the journey. We are taught that it is noble to give, but that it is somehow selfish or weak to receive. We are conditioned with a deep sense of unworthiness that manifests as a reflexive discomfort with accepting good things. Think of the last time someone gave you a sincere, heartfelt compliment. What was your immediate reaction? Was it to deflect, to say, "Oh, it was nothing," or to immediately point out a flaw in yourself to balance the scales? When someone offers you a gift, do you feel a sense of unease, a pressing need to repay them as quickly as possible? This is the unworthiness barrier in action. It is a subconscious belief that you cannot receive something for nothing, that all goodness must be earned through hard labor or sacrifice. This barrier leads to one of the most painful and confusing forms of self-sabotage. You may consciously perform all the right actions. You forge your intention, you work diligently, you pray for a breakthrough. Your desire for prosperity, for love, for success is genuine. And as your ship gets closer to the shore of your desire, a strange thing happens. You suddenly lose motivation. You pick a fight with a supportive partner. You miss a crucial deadline. You forget an important meeting. This is not a coincidence. It is your subconscious mind, which still believes you are unworthy of receiving, desperately trying to return you to the familiar, safe territory of struggle and lack. Your conscious mind is steering toward the harbor, while your subconscious, standing on the dock, is pushing your boat back out to sea. This is the exhausting, frustrating dance of one step forward, one step back, that makes you feel that the universe is working against you. But here is the profound, liberating truth that will change everything. The universe is a tireless, infinitely generous, and inexhaustible giver. Its very nature is to overflow. It is a great river of life, of love, of creativity, of opportunity, of abundance, and it is constantly, ceaselessly flowing. The problem has never been with the giving. It has always, only, ever been with our capacity to receive. Your primary work in creating a prosperous life is not to force the river to flow toward you, but to systematically dismantle the dams you have built within your own consciousness that are blocking the flow. Think of your life, your consciousness, as a riverbed, and for years you have been building a dam across it. Every time you believed you were not good enough, you added a brick. Every time you felt guilty for receiving a gift, you added another brick of unworthiness. Every time you deflected a compliment, you slapped another layer of mortar on the structure. This dam of resistance has become so large and so solid that the great river of universal abundance, which has been flowing toward you all along, can no longer reach you. Your riverbed is dry and barren. You look downstream and see others whose lives seem to be flowing with ease, and you believe that life is unfair or that you are simply unlucky, never realizing that you are the architect of your own drought. Receiving is not a selfish act. It is a sacred duty. It is the divine and necessary counterpart to giving. It is the in-breath that makes the out-breath possible. Imagine a world where everyone only breathed out, believing it was selfish to breathe in. The entire system would collapse. To refuse to receive is a form of arrogance. It is to tell the universe, your gifts are not welcome here. Your generosity is not wanted. It disrupts the cosmic flow of which you are an essential part. To open yourself to receiving is to say yes to life. It is to acknowledge your worthiness to participate in the grand circulatory system of cosmic abundance. So how do we begin to dismantle a dam that has been under construction for a lifetime? We do it brick by brick, with small, consistent, conscious acts of allowing. Your first practice is in learning to receive a compliment. The next time someone offers you praise, resist the urge to deflect, diminish, or deny. I invite you to pause, take a gentle breath. Look the person in the eyes, and with a simple, genuine smile say, "Thank you, I receive that." Feel the words in your body. It may feel uncomfortable at first. Your skin may prickle with the unfamiliarity of it. But with this simple act, you are prying a brick of unworthiness from your dam. You are repatterning a lifetime of resistance. Your second practice is to consciously welcome the small gifts the universe sends you every day. When you are looking for a parking spot and one opens up right in front of you, do not dismiss it as a coincidence. Pause for a second and say, internally, "Thank you, I receive this gift." When a friend insists on buying you a coffee, do not argue. Receive it graciously as a sign of the universe's care for you. When you find a coin on the street, pick it up with a sense of delight and say, "Thank you, I am open to abundance in all forms." You are training your mind and your energy field to recognize and accept goodness. You are building your receiving muscle. You are sending a new signal that says, I am open for business. The gifts of the universe are welcome here. Your third practice is a physical one, to anchor this new state in your body. Find a quiet moment to stand or sit. Turn your palms face up on your lap, the universal gesture of receptivity. Close your eyes. As you breathe in, imagine you are breathing in a golden light of pure, loving, abundant energy. Imagine it filling every cell of your body. As you breathe out, imagine you are releasing all the dense grey smoke of resistance, of unworthiness, of the belief that you have to do it all alone. Breathe in receiving. Breathe out resistance. Do this for just a few minutes. You are physically teaching your body what it feels like to be an open channel rather than a fortified dam. As you practice these things, the cracks in your dam will begin to widen. The water of the river will start to seep through. At first, it may just be a trickle, a small, unexpected check in the mail, a timely piece of advice from a stranger, a creative idea that seems to come from nowhere. But as you continue to welcome and receive these trickles with gratitude, the pressure of the river builds. The cracks become fissures, the fissures become breaches, and one day, with a great and glorious roar, the dam of your resistance will crumble completely, and the full, mighty, life-giving force of the river will pour into the once barren riverbed of your life. This influx is not just of material things. It is an influx of energy, of vitality, of inspiration, of joy. You will feel energized in a way you never have before, and this new, powerful energy naturally seeks an outlet. It desires to be expressed. It motivates you to act. But this is a new kind of action. It is not the desperate, frantic action of a person trying to force something to happen. It is the joyful, powerful, and inspired action of a person whose life is being carried by an infinite current. It is action that feels less like a struggle and more like a sacred dance. The dam has broken. The great river of universal abundance, which was always flowing toward you, is now pouring into the once dry riverbed of your life. You feel it as a new current of energy, a vitality that hums in your cells, a wellspring of inspiration that bubbles up from within. This energy, by its very nature, must move. It seeks expression. It yearns to be channeled into the world. And this brings you to a critical crossroads, a choice point that will determine the entire quality of your journey forward. How will you direct this powerful new flow? Will you fall back into the old paradigm of desperate, frantic effort, or will you learn to move in a new way, a way that is powerful, sustainable, and filled with grace? Will you continue to be the frantic runner, or are you ready to become the sacred dancer? For most of our lives, we have been taught to be frantic runners. Our culture glorifies the hustle, a mindset born from a deep-seated belief in scarcity. The hustle mentality assumes that the universe is fundamentally withholding, that success is a fortress that must be sieged, and that life is a battle to be won through brute force and relentless, painful sacrifice. It is the anthem of the ego. It drives us to work until we are exhausted, to sacrifice our well-being for a future goal, to constantly push, grind, and force. The frantic runner is on a treadmill of their own creation. Their face is a mask of strain. Their breathing is shallow and panicked. Their eyes are fixed on a digital display, terrified that if they slow down for even a second, everything will be lost. They are expending a tremendous amount of energy, sweating with effort, but they are not truly going anywhere. They are trapped in a loop of struggle, and their primary emotional state is fear. This way of acting, this way of being, is not sustainable. It leads only to burnout, resentment, and often strangely mediocre results. The work produced from this state of desperation lacks the spark of genius, the touch of grace. It is work that takes energy from you, leaving you depleted and bitter. It is the path of the martyr, who secretly believes their suffering should be rewarded, and grows resentful when the universe does not applaud their self-flagellation. This is action from the frequency of lack. But now, infused with the energy of the flowing river, you are invited to a new way of movement, the way of the sacred dancer. The dancer also moves and may expend even more energy than the runner. But the quality of the energy is completely different. The dancer is not fighting their body, they are inhabiting it. They are not struggling against the music, they are possessed by it. Their movements are not born of fear, but of joy. Their expression is not one of strain, but of ecstasy. Each gesture is intentional, graceful, and filled with power. The dance does not deplete the dancer, it energizes them. They are a channel for the music, and in allowing it to flow through them, they generate more energy than they consume. This is action from the frequency of abundance. This reveals the profound core message about action. The energy behind your action determines the nature of your results. Action is not just a physical event, it is an energetic broadcast. Action taken from a place of fear, desperation, or a need to prove yourself sends out a chaotic, low-frequency signal. It screams to the universe, "I am in danger. I do not have enough. I am not enough." And the universe, being a faithful mirror, will bring you circumstances that perfectly match that fearful broadcast. You will encounter more obstacles, more resistance, more reasons to be desperate. Conversely, action that arises from a place of inspiration, trust, and joy sends out a clear, high-frequency signal. It hums with the message, "I am guided, all is well. I am a channel for creation." And the universe will bring you circumstances that match that confident broadcast. You will experience synchronicities, serendipity, and a sense of magical flow. The universe does not reward your struggle. It responds to your song. The internal conflict, then, is learning to trust the quiet music of inspired action over the loud, panicked shouting of the conditioned mind. The mind, with its to-do lists and its shoulds, will constantly urge you to be the frantic runner. It will scream, "You must do something, anything right now." It values busyness over effectiveness. Inspired action, however, often arises from stillness. It is a quiet whisper, not a shout. It is the sudden, inexplicable urge to reach out to a person you haven't spoken to in years. It is the flash of insight for a creative project that feels light and exciting. It is the calm knowing that the right thing to do today is not to make 100 sales calls, but to go for a long walk in the woods to clear your head. To the ego, this looks like procrastination or laziness. To the soul, it is the most productive work of all. So, how do you learn to discern the difference? How do you know if you are running or dancing? You must learn to use your body as an infallible compass. Before you take a significant action, especially one that feels heavy or that you are forcing yourself to do, I invite you to pause. Close your eyes. Place a hand on your heart or your belly and ask this simple question: what is the energy behind this action? And then listen, not with your ears, but with your body. Does the thought of this action cause your stomach to clench, your shoulders to tighten, your jaw to tense? Does it feel like a heavy weight, a burdensome obligation? This is the sensation of contraction. This is your body's no. It is the energy of the frantic runner. Or does the thought of the action create a different feeling? A sense of lightness in your chest, a feeling of excitement, of warmth, of expansion. Does it feel like something you get to do rather than something you have to do? Even if it is challenging, does it feel like a challenge that energizes you? This is the sensation of expansion. This is your body's yes. This is the music starting to play, inviting you to the dance. Your only task is to learn to honor this compass. It will never lie to you. When the feeling is one of contraction, you must have the courage to wait, to return to stillness, to ask for clarity, to wait for an action that feels expansive. This is not passivity. It is an act of profound trust and energetic intelligence. Stop trying to figure out the entire 10-year plan. The sacred dancer does not know the final pose when they begin. They only know the next movement that the music calls for. Your work is to listen for the next inspired step. It may be a very small step. It may seem illogical. But if it feels expansive, it is your divine assignment for that moment. Take that one step with your full presence and trust. And when you complete it, you return to stillness and listen for the next. This is how you build a life of flow. One inspired, expansive, joyful step at a time. This is how your work, your entire life, becomes a form of sacred ritual rather than a desperate struggle. As you begin to live in this way, as you choose the dance over the treadmill, something magical begins to happen. Your movements, now aligned with the frequency of abundance, start to create beautiful new patterns in the world around you. Your joy becomes infectious. Your inspired work attracts the right clients and collaborators effortlessly. The grace with which you move through the world soothes the frantic energy of others. The outer world, the stage upon which you perform your dance, begins to change its scenery and its lighting to match the beauty of your performance. You begin to see your inner state of grace and flow reflected back to you in the circumstances of your life, and you realize that the world was never a hostile battleground. It has always been a mirror, waiting patiently for you to change the reflection. You have begun to move in a new way. You have traded the frantic, fearful running on the treadmill of struggle for the graceful, joyful, and inspired movements of the sacred dance. Your actions, now born from a frequency of abundance and trust, begin to send new ripples out into the world. You notice small, positive changes. An unexpected opportunity arises. A difficult relationship softens. Your creative work begins to flow with an unaccustomed ease. But what happens when an obstacle appears? What about the times when the world does not seem to dance with you? What about the difficult client, the unexpected bill, the project that stalls? The old conditioned response is to immediately find someone or something to blame. It is the world's fault. The economy is bad. People are difficult. My luck has run out. Today, we are going to dismantle that old response entirely and replace it with one of the most powerful, transformative, and sovereign perspectives a human being can ever adopt. We are going to learn to read the world not as a battlefield, but as a mirror. For most of our lives, we are trained to play the blame game. It is a defense mechanism of the ego designed to protect us from the feeling of failure or shame. If my business fails because the market was bad, then I am not a failure. I am a victim of circumstance. If I am unhappy in my relationship because my partner is unsupportive, then I am not responsible for my own happiness. I am a blameless martyr. This victim stance can feel strangely comfortable, even righteous. It allows us to complain, to find solidarity with other victims, to feel justified in our anger and powerlessness. It absolves us of the awesome and sometimes terrifying responsibility for our own lives. We see ourselves as small, helpless figures being acted upon by vast external forces: the government, our boss, our family, our luck. This is the ultimate prison, because if the cause of your unhappiness is always outside of you, then so is the solution. You are doomed to wait forever for the world to change before you can feel peace. This brings us to a profound internal conflict. It is the choice between the familiar comfort of victimhood and the radical power of creation. The ego wants to look at a difficult situation and ask, "Who did this to me?" This question, while tempting, is a complete dead end. It leads only to anger, resentment, and a deeper sense of helplessness. But the soul, your higher self, knows a deeper truth. It knows that you are not a pawn in the game. You are a co-creator of the game itself. And so, it prompts you to ask a much more frightening, but infinitely more powerful question: what part of me is this situation reflecting? To ask this question is to step out of the role of the victim and into the role of the conscious creator. It is terrifying because there is no one left to blame. The fault is not in your stars, nor in the world, but within yourself. But this is not a fault to be condemned. It is a misaligned belief to be healed. The power is, and always was, entirely within you. This is the great, secret law of correspondence. Your outer world is a flawless, holographic mirror of your inner world. It is not a sentient entity with an agenda to help or harm you. It is a neutral, impersonal feedback system of perfect precision. It simply reflects back to you the sum total of your dominant beliefs, assumptions, and energetic frequencies. To stand before the mirror of the world and scream at it to smile while you are frowning is the very definition of insanity. To become enraged and try to shatter the mirror is even more futile. You will only be left with 1,000 broken shards, each one reflecting your own unhappy face back at you. The only sane, effective, and powerful response when you do not like the reflection you are seeing is to take a deep breath, turn your attention inward, and consciously, deliberately change your own expression. So how do we use this mirror as the powerful diagnostic tool it is meant to be, instead of as an enemy to be fought? You begin by changing your primary question. When you are faced with a challenging person or situation, you must stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, with genuine, non-judgmental curiosity, "What is this situation showing me about myself? What belief within me is this reflecting?" Let us walk through some common reflections. Perhaps you find that you consistently attract employers or clients who undervalue you and pay you less than you are worth. The mirror is reflecting a belief you hold within yourself. It might be a deep-seated belief that I am not truly worthy of being well compensated, or my work isn't really that valuable. The outer world is simply giving you evidence to confirm your inner belief. The work is not to fight for more money. The work is to heal the inner belief of unworthiness. When you truly, deeply know your own value, you will either attract people who reflect that value, or you will find the courage to walk away from those who do not. Perhaps the mirror of your life is reflecting back a constant state of chaos and drama. Your relationships are turbulent, your schedule is a mess, and you always seem to be putting out fires. This chaos is a reflection of a chaotic inner state. It may reflect a belief that life is a struggle or an addiction to the adrenaline of crisis, because it makes you feel important and needed. The work is to cultivate inner peace, to build your inner temple of stillness. As you become an island of calm within, the storms in your outer world will mysteriously begin to subside. The drama will find no chaotic energy within you to hook into, and it will move on to find a more willing dance partner. Perhaps you find yourself repeatedly attracting partners who are emotionally unavailable, critical, or who need fixing. The mirror is reflecting your own relationship with yourself. You are likely being critical of yourself, emotionally unavailable to your own needs, and trying to fix your own perceived flaws. You are attracting people who play out the drama of your own inner world on an external stage. The solution is not to find a better partner. The solution is to become the loving, accepting, and whole partner you seek to yourself first. Heal your relationship with yourself, and you will become a vibrational match for someone who reflects that new, healthy pattern. This is the practice. You treat every external event, positive or negative, as feedback. It is data. When something wonderful happens, you pause and say, "Thank you. This is reflecting the new beliefs I am cultivating. This is a sign I am on the right path." When something challenging happens, you pause, resist the urge to blame, and ask, "What is the gift here? What limiting belief is this situation offering me the opportunity to see and to heal?" This transforms your entire life. There are no more enemies, There are no more accidents. There are only teachers and lessons. Every person is your mirror. Every situation is your classroom. You are no longer a victim. You are a student of reality, learning to master the art of conscious creation by observing the reflections and adjusting your inner state accordingly. You must also have patience with the mirror. There is a buffer of time in this physical reality. When you begin to fundamentally change your inner state, your beliefs and frequency, the outer reflection may not change instantaneously. It is like smiling at your reflection. The change is immediate. But in the world of form, it is more like planting a seed. You must plant the seed of your new belief, water it with your focus and feeling, and trust that it is growing beneath the surface. Even if you cannot yet see the sprout, you must hold your new frequency, your new smile, with unwavering faith, even if the mirror is still showing you a faint echo of your old frown. Persist in your new state, and the mirror, by law, must eventually catch up. As you master this practice, as you take 100% responsibility for the reflection in your mirror, a new sense of sovereignty will be born within you. You will realize that you are the artist, and the world is your canvas. This naturally leads to the next profound question. If I am the creator of this reflection, what kind of masterpiece do I truly wish to create? Society has handed us a very narrow definition of a successful reflection, a life filled with material wealth and possessions. But as the conscious architect of your reality, you get to decide. Is a large bank account the only measure of a rich reflection? What about a reflection of abundant free time? What about a reflection of vibrant health and energy? What about a reflection of deep, loving connections and a profound sense of peace? It is time to look beyond the wallet and define for yourself what a truly prosperous life looks like in the mirror. You have learned to stand before the great mirror of the world, not as a victim of its reflections, but as the conscious creator of them. You have taken back your power. This realization brings with it a breathtaking sense of freedom and a profound new question. If you are the artist, what is the masterpiece you truly wish to paint? For generations, we have been handed a pre-designed template, a paint-by-numbers picture of success. And in this picture, the dominant and often only color is the color of money. We have been taught that a rich life is a life rich in financial assets and that prosperity is a number you can count. Today, we are going to tear up that one-dimensional blueprint. We will move beyond the barren monoculture of a single cash crop and begin to design a life that is more like a vibrant, biodiverse garden. A garden that is rich in a multitude of ways, a garden of true, holistic prosperity. The modern world's obsession with money as the sole metric of wealth is a hypnotic trance. We are fixated on it because it is simple, quantifiable, and easy to compare. It allows us to keep a clear scorecard, to know if we are winning or losing in the game of life. It whispers a seductive promise that it is the universal solvent for all human suffering. If you are unhappy, more money will buy you distractions. If you are insecure, more money will buy you status. If you are lonely, more money will buy you company. We have elevated financial wealth from a useful tool to a mythological deity, the ultimate symbol of freedom, power, and worth. We look at the titans of industry and finance and project upon them a state of ultimate fulfillment. But the mirror of the world reflects back a more complicated truth. We see the stories of the fabulously wealthy who are plagued by crippling anxiety, broken family relationships, chronic health problems, and a profound, aching emptiness. This is the great paradox of a one-dimensional life. They have won the game, only to find that the prize feels hollow. They have spent their entire lives cultivating one single asset, money, often at the brutal expense of every other form of wealth. Their financial accounts are overflowing, but their accounts of time, peace, health, and connection are utterly bankrupt. They have built a skyscraper on a pinpoint foundation, and they live in constant fear of its collapse. This is not prosperity. This is the loneliest poverty of all, the poverty of the soul. This creates a deep and painful conflict between the social scorecard and the soul's ledger. Your ego, your conditioned mind, is obsessed with the social scorecard. It is constantly looking over its shoulder, checking your rank, comparing your income and assets to those around you. It pushes you to take the high-paying job you hate, to work punishing hours that destroy your health, to sacrifice time with your family for one more step up the corporate ladder. It does this because it believes that a high score on this external chart will finally bring you safety and approval. But your soul, your deepest being, keeps a completely different set of books. The soul's ledger does not measure wealth in dollars or euros. It measures wealth in units of presence, in moments of unrestrained joy, in the depth and authenticity of your relationships, in hours of unstructured, creative freedom, and in the sheer vitality and energy of your physical body. The great conflict of modern life is the dissonance between these two accounting systems. You can spend a day making a fortune, excelling on the social scorecard, while simultaneously creating a massive deficit on the soul's ledger. And at the end of that day, despite your success, you feel drained, empty, and disconnected. You are winning a race you never truly wanted to enter, and the prize is a profound sense of meaninglessness. It is time to integrate these two ledgers. It is time for a new, holistic definition of wealth. Here is the core message that will harmonize your life. True prosperity is not a singular achievement, it is a symphony. Money is but one instrument in this grand orchestra, powerful and important one, like the great kettle drums, capable of providing rhythm and impact. But a symphony that consists only of drums is not music, it is just a headache. True wealth is the harmonious resonance of all the instruments playing together. It is the deep cello of inner peace, the soaring violins of loving relationships, the playful flute of creative freedom, and the steady rhythm of vibrant health, all playing in concert with the drums of financial abundance. This is the true frequency of prosperity. To become a conscious conductor of this symphony, you must first see all the instruments clearly. I invite you now to take out a piece of paper and create your own holistic wealth balance sheet. This is not about numbers, it is about honest self-assessment. Create 5 columns. The first column, label financial wealth. This is the traditional one. Your income, savings, investments, your relationship with money. The second column, label temporal wealth. This is the wealth of time. How much of your time is truly your own? How much time do you have for rest, for play, for unstructured creativity, for doing nothing at all? You could be a billionaire financially, but if you have 0 time to enjoy your life, you are time poor. The third column, label physical wealth. This is the wealth of your body. How is your energy, your vitality? Do you sleep soundly and wake rested? Is your body a source of strength and pleasure, or a source of chronic pain and fatigue? All the money in the world is meaningless without the health to enjoy it. The fourth column, label relational wealth. This is the wealth of your connections. Do you have deep, authentic relationships where you feel seen, loved, and supported? Do you have a sense of community, or is your life filled with superficial, transactional connections? Loneliness is a sign of deep relational poverty. The fifth and final column, label mental and spiritual wealth. This is the wealth of your inner world. Do you feel a sense of purpose, of peace? Do you have clarity of mind? Do you feel connected to something larger than yourself? This is the wealth of a quiet mind and an inspired heart. Now, take a moment to honestly assess your portfolio. Where are you truly rich? Where are you impoverished? Many people have a shocking revelation when they do this. They realize that while they have been fixated on their financial poverty, they are, in fact, time billionaires, or they are fantastically wealthy in their relationships. Others realize that their pursuit of financial wealth has made them utterly destitute in every other column. This balance sheet is your new map. It shows you where your life is out of harmony. The practice, then, is to become a conscious gardener of this entire ecosystem. An industrial farm that grows only a single cash crop depletes the soil and is vulnerable. A true garden of prosperity is a permaculture system where every element supports every other. The great oak tree of your health provides shade for the delicate flowers of your relationships. The clear, flowing stream of your free time waters the entire garden, keeping it lush and vibrant. The rich soil of your inner peace provides the nourishment for everything to grow. And the golden apple trees of your financial wealth provide fruit that is delicious and abundant, but they are just one part of the whole, beautiful, resilient ecosystem. Your work is to tend to the entire garden. Look at your balance sheet and identify the area where you are poorest. Then, commit to one small, nurturing action this week. If you are poor in time, your sacred task is not to make more money, but to schedule 1 hour of completely unstructured time and guard it fiercely. If you are poor in health, your task is to take one 20-minute walk or to drink one extra glass of water each day. If you are poor in relationships, your task is to call one person you love and give them your full, undivided attention for 15 minutes. You bring your life back into harmony, one small, conscious act at a time. This holistic approach does not mean you abandon your financial goals. On the contrary, you will find that as your entire garden becomes healthier, your ability to generate financial wealth increases effortlessly. A person who is well-rested, healthy, and emotionally fulfilled is infinitely more creative, charismatic, and effective than one who is burnt out, sick, and lonely. You stop chasing money, and instead you create a life so rich and vibrant in every aspect that money is naturally drawn to you as just one more expression of the holistic abundance you now embody. But this beautiful, diverse garden does not tend to itself. It requires a wise, attentive, and loving caretaker. This caretaker must know which seeds to plant, which plants to water, and which weeds to pull. This caretaker is your mind. And to cultivate this garden, you must first learn to master the art of gardening your own thoughts. You have stood before the mirror of the world and claimed your power as the artist of its reflection. You have expanded your vision of wealth beyond the narrow confines of a bank account and designed a beautiful, holistic garden of a life, rich with time, health, connection, and peace. It is a magnificent blueprint. But a blueprint, like a seed packet, holds only potential. A garden, no matter how beautifully designed, does not tend to itself. Left to its own devices, it will not blossom into an orderly paradise. It will inevitably be overrun by weeds, choked by vines, and reclaimed by the wilderness. The state of the outer garden of your life is always, and without exception, a direct reflection of the inner garden of your mind. Therefore, the most essential skill you must now cultivate is that of the master gardener. The work begins not in the soil of the earth, but in the fertile and often unruly soil of your own consciousness. Your mind, in its natural state, is not a pristine, manicured lawn. It is a plot of wild, fertile ground. And the soil of this ground has a peculiar quality. It has a natural bias toward growing certain types of plants. Due to our ancient survival programming, the soil of the human mind is exceptionally hospitable to the seeds of fear, doubt, and worry. These are the weeds. Their seeds are everywhere, carried on the wind of the daily news, scattered in the fearful conversations of others, and dormant within the soil from our own past experiences. They require no special effort to sprout. They are hardy, aggressive, and if left untended, they will quickly dominate the entire landscape of your mind. An untended mind garden is a stressful and chaotic place. It is a tangled thicket of anxious thoughts about the future. It is overrun with the thorny bushes of past resentments that prick you whenever you get too close. It is choked by the creeping vines of self-criticism that whisper, "You are not good enough," strangling the life out of any new, tender shoot of an idea. In this overgrown wilderness, there is no room for the beautiful flowers of joy and peace to grow. There is no space for the light to get in. This is the default state for a mind left to its own devices. It becomes a source of pain, not a sanctuary of peace. Here, we face the fundamental conflict between mental laziness and mental discipline. It is easy, in the short term, to be a lazy gardener. It requires no effort to let your mind wander wherever it pleases, even if it chooses to graze all day in the bitter fields of worry and regret. It is easy to let the weeds grow, to become so accustomed to the tangled landscape that you forget it could ever be any other way. But this laziness has a high price, a life of anxiety, powerlessness, and quiet desperation. Mental discipline, on the other hand, is not about harshness or rigid control. It is not about screaming at the weeds or trying to pave over the entire garden with concrete. That is the way of suppression, and it never works. True mental discipline is the gentle, consistent, and loving act of conscious cultivation. It is the discipline to show up to your garden each day, to notice what is growing, and to make conscious choices. It is the willingness to pull the weed of a negative thought and the conscious intention to plant a flower of trust in its place. It is the choice to be an active steward of your inner world, rather than a passive victim of it. This brings us to the empowering core message that is the heart of this practice. Your mind is a garden, your thoughts are the seeds. You cannot always control the weather, and you cannot stop the seeds of negativity from blowing in on the wind of life. But you are the master gardener. You, and you alone, hold the power to decide which seeds you will consciously plant, which seedlings you will water with your attention, and which weeds you will gently but firmly uproot. The state of your garden is not your fault, but it is entirely your responsibility. This realization moves you from a position of helpless reactivity to one of creative authority. So, let us learn the practical daily arts of mental gardening. The first and most frequent task is weeding. You must become skilled at identifying the weeds of your mind as soon as they sprout. When a thought like, "I'll never be able to do this," arises, you must learn to see it not as an objective truth, but as a specific, identifiable weed. You can even name it. There is the weed of self-doubt. When a thought of jealousy or comparison appears, you can calmly note, "I see the weed of scarcity is sprouting." This simple act of labeling the thought as a weed, rather than identifying with it as yourself, creates a crucial space of separation. It robs the thought of its power over you. Once you have identified the weed, you do not fight it. Fighting a weed only strengthens its roots and scatters its seeds. Instead, you gently uproot it by withdrawing the energy of your belief. You see the thought, you acknowledge it, and you let it go. You turn your attention elsewhere. A weed that receives no sunlight of attention and no water of emotional reaction will naturally wither and die. Then, in the patch of soil where the weed once was, you must consciously plant something new. You plant the seed of a counter-thought, an affirmation. If the weed was, "I don't have enough money," you gently pull it and plant the seed, "I am a beloved child of an abundant universe, and I am always provided for." The second practice is the conscious watering of your desired plants. The flowers and fruit trees of your garden thoughts of joy, love, trust, and creativity require more deliberate care. Watering, in the mental garden, is the act of giving your focused attention and positive emotion. When a positive idea or a happy memory comes to you, do not let it pass by fleetingly. Hold it in your mind, savor it, feel the joy and appreciation for it in your body. This is the equivalent of giving a prized rosebush a long, deep drink of water. When you are working on your intention, you visualize it with rich sensory detail and feel the feeling of it already being real. This is you, the gardener, standing in the sunshine, lovingly tending to your most precious plants, encouraging them to grow strong and blossom magnificently. The final practice is preparing and enriching the soil itself. You make your mind garden a more fertile ground for flowers and a more hostile environment for weeds. You do this by controlling the information and energy you consume, reading inspiring books, listening to uplifting music, engaging in deep and positive conversations. This is like adding rich, organic compost to your soil. The practice of meditation and spending time in nature is like allowing a gentle, cleansing rain to fall upon your garden, washing the dust from the leaves and nourishing the roots. A mind that is consistently fed a diet of beauty, positivity, and peace will naturally find it easier to grow beautiful thoughts and to reject the invasive weeds of negativity. Day by day, you tend to your garden. Some days will be easy, and you will spend your time simply enjoying the blooms. Other days, you will find a new patch of stubborn weeds has sprung up overnight, and your work will be to patiently clear the ground once more. But you do it without panic and without judgment. You are the gardener. This is your work. It is a living, breathing process. Over time, your inner landscape transforms. The tangled, thorny wilderness becomes a place of beauty, order, and sanctuary. It becomes a garden that produces a bountiful harvest of peace, clarity, and joy. And because your outer world is but a mirror of your inner world, this beautiful harvest will begin to manifest in every area of your life. But even the most masterful gardener knows that a garden has its seasons. It is not always a time for planting and blooming. There are necessary periods of rest. There are times when a plot of land must be left empty, to lie fallow under the winter sky, gathering its strength for the explosion of life that will come in the spring. As a new gardener, you may come to fear these empty, seemingly unproductive times. You may mistake the fertile void for a barren wasteland, but to reach the next level of mastery, you must learn to embrace this emptiness, for it is in the quiet, fallow ground that the deepest magic prepares itself. You have embraced your role as the master gardener of your mind. You are diligently tending to your inner world, watering the flowers of trust and pulling the weeds of fear. Your garden is beginning to flourish. But in your enthusiasm as a new gardener, you may come to believe that a healthy garden must be in a state of constant, perpetual bloom. You may believe that to be prosperous and productive, every single patch of your inner ground must be bursting with activity at all times. But the wisest gardeners know the great secret of the seasons. They know there is a time for planting and a time for harvest. And they know, most importantly, that there is a sacred and necessary time for the ground to lie fallow, to rest, to be empty. This is the great creative cycle. And today, we will learn to honor and embrace its most feared, misunderstood, and powerful phase, the fertile void. The fertile void is the space between stories. It is the sacred pause after one chapter of your life has ended and the next has not yet begun. It is the feeling of being in midair after leaping from one trapeze, your hands reaching for the next bar which has not yet swung into view. It is the period after a major project is completed, a long-term relationship ends, or you leave a career that once defined you. The old structures have fallen away, but the new ones have not yet been built. It is the state of not knowing, and for the human ego, this state is terrifying. The ego craves certainty. It needs a map, a plan, a defined identity. It equates knowing with safety, and not knowing with death. And so, when we find ourselves in this empty, liminal space, the ego panics. This panic manifests as a compulsive, desperate need to fill the void. We cannot tolerate the discomfort of the emptiness. So we immediately jump into a new relationship, not because it is right, but because it is there. We take the first job offered to us, even if it feels heavy and constricting, because it is better than the uncertainty of unemployment. We fill our calendars with frantic busyness, our minds with endless noise and distraction, all in a desperate attempt to avoid the profound silence of the void. We see the empty field of our life, and we feel an overwhelming urge to plant something, anything, immediately, even if it is just a crop of fast-growing weeds. We have been taught that an empty space is a wasted space, that a period of non-doing is a period of failure. This creates a deep internal conflict between the frantic panic of the ego and the profound patience of the soul. Your ego is screaming, "Do something, this is dangerous. You are falling behind. Everyone else is moving forward while you are stuck here in this nothingness." It wants to force an answer where there is none. It wants to build a new structure on ground that is not yet ready. It values frenetic activity over divine alignment. But your soul understands the deeper rhythms of creation. It knows that the fallow season is not a punishment, it is a gift. It is a period of deep integration, where the lessons and nutrients from the last harvest are absorbed back into the soil of your being. It is a time of sacred rest, of unseen preparation. The soul has the wisdom and the courage to wait, knowing that the most magnificent creations cannot be rushed. It trusts that the perfect, divinely appointed seed will arrive, but only when the ground has been fully prepared to receive it. Here is the core message that will transform your fear of emptiness into a deep reverence for it. The void you dread is not a barren wasteland. It is the fertile ground of all creation. It is not an absence. It is the presence of pure potentiality. It is the dark, silent, nourishing soil from which every great thing in your life will grow. It is the cosmic womb, where new realities gestate before they are born into form. It is only when you are in the state of not knowing, when you have released your white-knuckled grip on how things should be, that you create enough space for the universe to deliver a possibility far greater than the one your limited mind could have ever conceived. If your life is already completely filled with your own plans, your own ideas, and your own frantic doing, there is simply no room for grace. There is no room for magic. There is no room for the universe to surprise and delight you. The void is an invitation to a miracle. So how do you learn to be comfortable in this space? How do you learn to trust the fertile darkness? You do not fight the feeling of being lost. You reframe it. The next time the feeling of uncertainty or directionlessness washes over you, instead of panicking, I invite you to pause, take a breath, and speak this affirmation to yourself, either silently or aloud. I am not lost. I am in the fertile ground. My soul is resting and replenishing. I am in a sacred pause, gathering my strength and preparing for the next magnificent chapter. I release the need to know, and I open myself to the wisdom of the void. I am waiting for the perfect seed to arrive in the perfect way, at the perfect time. This is not a passive resignation, it is an active, conscious trust in the creative process. You are choosing to align with the season you are in, rather than fighting against it. You can support this process by intentionally scheduling periods of non-doing. In a world obsessed with productivity, this is a radical act. Give yourself an hour where you have no agenda. Lie on the grass and watch the clouds. Listen to an entire album of music without checking your phone or tidying the room. Sit by a window and watch the rain fall. In these moments of pure being, you allow your nervous system to reset. You quiet the frantic shouting of the ego, which makes it possible to hear the subtle whispers of new inspiration that are beginning to stir deep within you. The next step on your path will not be found by forcing it. It will be revealed in a moment of quiet receptivity. Think of your life as a plot of farmland. After a long season of growing and harvesting, the soil is depleted. A wise farmer does not immediately plant the same crop again. He knows it would yield a meager harvest. Instead, he lets the field lie fallow for a season. To an impatient observer, the fallow field looks dead, empty, and useless. But the farmer knows that unseen magic is at work. Beneath the silent surface, microbes are breaking down the old roots, returning their nutrients to the earth. The soil is breathing, it is resting, it is integrating the past, it is gathering its strength. When spring returns, this rested, replenished soil is more potent and fertile than ever before, ready to support a crop more vibrant and abundant than anything that has grown there before. Your life, your mind, and your soul operate under these same natural laws. The void is your fallow season. To deny it is to condemn yourself to a life of diminishing returns. To embrace it is to ensure an ever more bountiful future harvest. Embracing the void is the ultimate act of surrender. It is letting go of the illusion that you are in control. It is a humble acknowledgement that there is a greater intelligence at work. As you learn to rest in this state of not knowing, you will discover that it is not empty at all. It is filled with a quiet, profound peace. It is filled with a sense of being held and cared for by a force larger than yourself. And you will come to understand that this fallow period is not just a passive waiting, it is an act of profound generosity. It is a giving back to yourself. It is the great out-breath of release, of letting go, that is the necessary prerequisite for the next great in-breath of inspiration and life. It is this universal rhythm of giving and receiving, of the out-breath and the in-breath, that governs all of creation. And now, we will explore how to apply this cosmic law to the flow of abundance in our daily lives. In the quiet wisdom of the fallow field, you have discovered a profound truth about creation. You learned that for the ground to become fertile for a new harvest, it must first rest. It must enter a period of release, an outbreath, where the old is broken down and integrated back into the soil. This rhythm of release and renewal, of outbreath and inbreath, is not just a law of agriculture, it is a fundamental law of the cosmos. Our modern culture, however, has taught us to be perpetually inhaling. We are taught that life is a process of accumulation, of gathering, of getting. We have forgotten that for any system to be healthy and vital, the energy must circulate. To truly live in the frequency of prosperity, you must unlearn the mindset of hoarding and become a master of flow. You must understand the deep, energetic physics of generosity. The scarcity mindset, which is the default programming of our society, sees life as a closed system with limited resources. From this perspective, generosity is a mathematical loss. If I have 10 units of energy, or time, or money, and I give one away, my internal accounting system flashes a warning. I now have only 9. I am diminished. This simple, linear logic is the source of the hoarding instinct. It creates a clenched fist approach to life. We cling tightly to our money, our time, our knowledge, our connections, fearing that if we share them, our own supply will be depleted. This fear creates a constricted, anxious energy field. We become like a stagnant pond. Desperately holding on to every drop of water it possesses, the pond allows no outflow. And because there is no outflow, there can be no inflow. Over time, the water becomes murky, thick with algae, starved of oxygen, and unable to support life. This is what happens to our energy, our creativity, and our prosperity when we refuse to give. We become toxic with our own uncirculated abundance. Now, consider the flowing river. The river is in a state of constant giving. It gives its water freely to the roots of the willows on its banks, to the thirsty deer that come to drink, to the great ocean that is its final destination. It holds nothing back. And yet, the river is never empty. Because it is always giving, it is always open to receiving the fresh meltwater from its source in the mountains. Its constant outflow creates the very vacuum that ensures its constant replenishment. Its water is always fresh, clear, oxygenated, and teeming with life. It is a vibrant channel, and its vitality is a direct result of its ceaseless generosity. The invitation of the universe is simple and clear. Be the river, not the pond. This reveals the core message, a principle that must be understood not just with the mind, but with the very cells of your being. Generosity is not primarily a moral virtue. It is a non-negotiable principle of energetic physics. The universe abhors a vacuum. To create a space that can be filled, you must first be willing to empty what is already there. You must breathe out to breathe in. You must release to receive. To cling to what you have out of fear is to send a powerful signal to the universe that says, "I do not trust you. I believe this is all there is, and there is no more to come." This lack of trust, this belief in limitation, is the very thing that pinches off the flow from your infinite source. Conversely, every act of giving, when done from a place of trust, is a powerful affirmation. It declares to the universe, "I trust in your infinite abundance. I know there is more where this came from. I am a channel, not a container." The internal conflict is between the fearful mathematics of the ego and the circular wisdom of the soul. The ego sees giving as a loss. The soul understands it as an investment in flow. The ego wants to accumulate. The soul wants to circulate. To step into the role of a conscious creator, you must learn to override the ego's scarcity-based accounting system and align yourself with the universe's law of flow. So how do we practice this in a world that tells us to do the opposite? We begin with the practice of micro-generosity. You do not need to start by giving away vast sums of money. The universe is not concerned with the quantity of your gift. It is concerned with the frequency of your giving. The goal is to get the stagnant water of your own pond moving, even if it starts as a tiny trickle. You can begin by giving the gift of your presence. In a world of constant distraction, offering someone your full, undivided, listening attention for 5 minutes is an act of profound generosity. When a friend is speaking, put your phone down, turn to face them, and listen not with the intent to reply, but with the intent to understand. You are giving them a space to be heard, and you are creating a vacuum of silence in your own mind that can then be filled with deeper connection and insight. Practice giving the gift of your praise. As you go about your day, look for the good in others and reflect it back to them. Offer a sincere, specific compliment to the cashier at the grocery store, to a colleague at work, to your partner at home. "Thank you. You were so efficient and calm during that rush. That was a brilliant point you made in the meeting. The way you handled that situation with our child was so patient and loving." To give praise costs you nothing, yet it pours energy into another person while signaling to the universe that you are someone who recognizes and appreciates value, which in turn makes you a magnet for value. Practice giving the gift of your knowledge. When you learn something useful, share it. Forward an interesting article to a friend who might benefit. Recommend a book that changed your perspective. Offer a helpful tip to someone struggling with a task you have mastered. Release the fear that if you share what you know, you will lose your competitive edge. This is the thinking of the stagnant pond. The river knows that the more it shares, the more it becomes known as a valuable, life-giving source. And yes, you must also practice giving your money. But again, release the need for it to be a grand gesture. The energy of a single dollar given with a joyful heart is more powerful than $1 million given with a resentful or obligatory one. Put $1 in the tip jar of a musician on the street. Buy a coffee for the person in line behind you. Find a cause you believe in online and donate an amount so small you will not even notice it is gone. The key is the feeling behind the act. Before you give, take a moment to connect with a feeling of abundance. Hold the dollar or click the button and affirm silently, I give this freely from my infinite source. There is always more where this came from. You are not losing $1. You are casting a vote for abundance. You are investing in the energy of flow. As you begin to practice micro-generosity, the stagnant water in your pond begins to stir. A small outlet is created, and the water begins to trickle out. And as it does, it creates just enough space for a trickle of fresh water to seep in from the source. The more you practice, the wider the channel becomes. Your trickle of giving becomes a steady stream, and the universe matches it with a steady stream of receiving. Eventually, you erode all the barriers of your self-imposed dam, and you become the great, flowing, thriving river you were always meant to be. But there is a crucial element required to sustain this practice. When the river gives its water to the ocean, it does not see that same water return a moment later. That water must evaporate, form clouds, travel over the land, and fall as rain in the mountains before it can feed the river's source once more. There is a divine delay, a sacred cycle, to give freely and then to stand in faith, trusting that the cycle will complete itself, requires a particular spiritual muscle. It requires you to be comfortable in the space between the out-breath and the in-breath. This muscle, this quiet, powerful trust in the unseen process, is patience, and it is the faithful guardian of your entire prosperous creation. You have embraced the physics of generosity, transforming yourself from a stagnant pond of hoarding into a flowing river of abundance. You have learned that the out-breath of giving is what makes the in-breath of receiving possible. But as you stand on the banks of your river, having given freely of your time, your energy, and your resources, you may notice a pause. You have sent your water to the sea, but the rain clouds have not yet reappeared over the mountains. It is in this sacred and often challenging pause between giving and receiving, between planting and harvesting, that you are called to cultivate the most essential and misunderstood of all spiritual qualities. This is the quality that protects your faith from the harsh winds of doubt. This is the spiritual stamina that allows your creations to come to full term. This is the quiet, steadfast, and powerful guardian of your inner garden. This is patience. In our modern world, patience has become a lost art. We live in an age of immediacy, an age that has rewired our brains to expect instant gratification. We can download a movie in seconds, order food with a single click, and receive a package from across the world the very next day. This technological conditioning has bled into our spiritual lives, creating a subtle but pervasive intolerance for the natural, unhurried rhythm of cosmic creation. We perform our rituals, we set our intentions, we practice our gratitude, and then we begin to tap our foot, checking our watch, wondering why the universe hasn't delivered our order with same-day shipping. This impatience is not a sign of your ambition, it is a symptom of your doubt. At its core, impatience is a profound lack of trust in the process. It is the ego's frantic attempt to impose its own desperate timeline onto a divine and infinitely intelligent one. This frantic energy of impatience is a low-frequency broadcast of its own. It is like a gardener who plants a precious seed in fertile soil and then, consumed by anxiety, digs it up every morning to see if it has sprouted. In his desperate need for evidence, he destroys the very creation he wishes to nurture. The seed can only germinate in the undisturbed darkness of the soil. Your desires can only gestate in the quiet, undisturbed darkness of your faith. When you are impatient, you are constantly digging up your seeds. You are sending out a frequency of anxiety and doubt, which acts as a repellent to the very peace and prosperity you seek. You are like a person trying to coax a shy, beautiful bird to land on your hand, but you are making sudden movements and loud noises, constantly scaring it away. This creates the ultimate internal conflict, the war between faith and the demand for evidence. Your logical mind, your ego, wants proof. It wants to see the numbers in the bank account rising. It wants to see the business flourishing. It wants to see the relationship blooming right now. And if it does not see this immediate external validation, it jumps to the conclusion, this is not working. All this inner work is a waste of time. I must abandon this path and go back to the old way of struggle and force. The ego demands that the outer world change first, before it will grant you the feeling of peace or trust. But the soul, the seat of your creative power, understands the law. It knows that the inner state of faith must be held first, firmly and unconditionally, and it is this unwavering inner state that then commands the outer world to change. Faith is not believing in what you can see. Faith is the very act that makes the unseen visible. Patience is the ability to hold that faith through the time delay of the physical world. Therefore, we must redefine patience. Patience is not the passive, resigned act of waiting for something to happen. It is not a state of helpless thumb twiddling. True, spiritual patience is an active, dynamic, and powerful state of being. It is the unwavering faith that your desire is already happening on the unseen planes of reality. It is the spiritual stamina to hold your frequency steady while the universe, with its infinite complexity, rearranges circumstances, people, and opportunities to bring your desire into form. Patience is the guardian that stands at the gate of your mind garden, calmly turning away the desperate intruders of doubt, fear, and despair. It is the quiet confidence of the master chef who puts a cake in the oven and does not worry, knowing that the laws of heat and chemistry are at work. He does not need to keep opening the oven door, an act which would only cause the cake to fall. He trusts the process. The universe operates on a timeline of utter perfection, one that is far more elegant and intelligent than our limited minds can conceive. A desire may be delayed because you are not yet the person who is ready to receive it, and the universe is lovingly orchestrating the experiences you need to grow into that person. An opportunity may not arrive on your schedule because a far greater one is being prepared for you just around the corner. To be impatient is to tell the universe, my small, limited plan is better than your infinite, all-knowing one. To be patient is to surrender, to trust that you are being guided, and to know that all is unfolding in a perfect, divine sequence. So how do we cultivate this active, powerful patience? You must shift your focus from the destination to the journey. Stop obsessively looking for the final outcome. Instead, make your primary goal the quality of your energy today. Your only job today is to maintain your frequency. Your only job is to feel good now. Your work is to tend to your garden today, to dance your sacred dance today, to feel gratitude and generosity today. The magnificent future you desire is built not by worrying about it, but by the accumulation of a series of well-lived, high-frequency present moments. You must fall in love with the process itself. Find the joy in the act of writing in your gratitude journal, not just in the things you hope it will bring you. Find the pleasure in the feeling of generosity, not just in the expectation of a return. When the practice becomes its own reward, the outcome becomes secondary, and in that state of non-attachment, you release the desperate, needy energy that repels your desires, which paradoxically allows them to flow to you much more quickly. To nourish your faith during this waiting period, learn to look for crumbs of evidence. Stop looking for the whole loaf of bread to manifest at once. Instead, train your eyes to see the small, subtle signs that the universe is responding to your new frequency. A crumb might be a song on the radio whose lyrics speak directly to your situation. It might be a conversation you overhear that gives you a brilliant idea. It might be a sudden, unexplainable feeling of peace and joy that washes over you. It might be a feather on your path or a sequence of repeating numbers. Acknowledge these things, collect them in your awareness. See them as winks from the universe, reassuring you, I have heard you, I am with you, the process is working. Be patient. Think of yourself as the wise farmer. You have selected the highest quality seed, your clear intention. You have planted it in the most fertile soil, the receptive mind of the universe. Now, your work is not to worry about the seed. Your work is to faithfully tend the field. You must continue to water the ground with your positive feelings and emotions. You must make sure the soil receives the sunlight of your conscious awareness. And when the weeds of doubt and fear inevitably sprout, you must gently pull them, not with panic, but with the calm assurance of a gardener who knows this is simply part of the job. You do not dig up the seed. You trust the darkness, you trust the soil, you trust the laws of nature. You know that the sprout will not appear on your impatient schedule. It will appear when its own internal clock and the conditions of the soil and the warmth of the sun are all in perfect alignment. And when it finally breaks through the surface, you greet it with joy and gratitude, not with a resentful, "What took you so long?" This steady, patient, and unwavering faith does more than just allow a single seed to grow. This consistent practice of holding a high frequency of trust, even in the absence of external proof, begins to work a much deeper alchemy. It begins to dissolve the oldest, most fundamental, and most restrictive contract you have ever made. The unconscious agreement that you are unworthy and that you must struggle and suffer to deserve anything good in your life. With the steadfast guardian of patience now standing at your side, you have been holding a high frequency of trust, even in the absence of immediate outer world confirmation. This patient faith is a powerful spiritual solvent. It has been working deep within your consciousness, dissolving the more superficial layers of doubt and fear. But now it has penetrated to the deepest, oldest, and most foundational layer of your reality. It has reached the bedrock of your belief system, the very constitution upon which your life has been built. Here, in the dusty, fireproof vault of your subconscious mind, lie the energetic contracts you signed long ago. These are the binding, invisible agreements you made with the universe about what you are allowed to have and the price you must pay to have it. And the patient light of your faith is now illuminating them, revealing them for what they are, and giving you the power to finally declare them null and void. These are not physical documents, but they are every bit as binding. They are the core, limiting beliefs about deservingness that govern your entire relationship with prosperity, love, and joy. We signed them in our childhood, without conscious awareness, as a way to make sense of the world and to negotiate for love and safety. They were survival strategies that have hardened into prison walls. Let us examine some of the most common and insidious clauses in these fraudulent contracts. Perhaps you signed the hard work contract. Clause 1A of this agreement states, "I am only entitled to receive abundance and success if I have struggled, sacrificed, and pushed myself to the point of exhaustion for it." This contract forces you to feel deeply suspicious and guilty about any opportunity that comes with ease and joy. If something feels too easy, your internal alarm bells ring, warning you that it must be a trick. You will then unconsciously sabotage the easy path in favor of a harder one, because only through struggle do you feel you have earned the right to succeed. Or perhaps you are bound by the perfection contract. This one decrees, "I will only deserve to be loved, respected, and prosperous when I am flawless, when I make no mistakes, and when I have met with everyone's approval." This is a sentence of perpetual anxiety and self-criticism. It keeps you from launching your creative work because it is not yet perfect. It makes you terrified of feedback, and it ensures you can never truly relax and enjoy your life because you are always on probation, one small mistake away from having your worthiness revoked. Many are bound by the penance contract. This contract dictates that you must perpetually pay for the mistakes of your past. "Because of what I did years ago," the clause reads, "I must accept a lesser life. I do not deserve true happiness until I have suffered enough to balance the scales." This keeps you chained to your own history, endlessly reliving your shame and pushing away the very joy that would be your healing. You have appointed yourself judge, jury, and jailer, serving a life sentence for a crime only you remember. The internal conflict born from these contracts is immense. On a conscious level, you desire a life of ease, joy, and abundance. You do the work, you set the intentions, you try to raise your frequency. But your subconscious mind, the faithful executor of these old agreements, is constantly working against you. When a wonderful opportunity appears out of the blue, your conscious mind celebrates, but your subconscious pulls out the contract and says, "Objection, Clause 1A has not been met. There has been insufficient struggle." Then, it engineers a self-sabotage to restore the lawful order of your limited reality. This is the source of the feeling of being a fraud or an imposter when good things happen. That anxiety is the feeling of being in breach of your own subconscious contract. You feel as if the cosmic police are about to knock on your door and repossess your good fortune because you did not pay the required price of suffering. The time has come for your emancipation. Here is the message that will shatter your chains. It is the fundamental truth of your being. Your worthiness is not a prize to be won, a wage to be earned, or a privilege to be granted. Your worthiness is your birthright. It is innate. It is unconditional. It is absolute. You deserve prosperity, love, and joy for one reason and one reason only: because you exist. You are an expression of the divine, a cell in the body of God. A rose does not have to earn the right to bloom. A star does not have to justify its light. A river does not have to prove it is worthy of flowing to the sea. Its existence is its worthiness, and so it is with you. Any contract, belief, assumption, or agreement, conscious or unconscious, that places a condition upon your inherent worthiness is, by its very nature, fraudulent. It is invalid. It was signed under the duress of a child trying to survive in a confusing world. And you, the conscious, powerful adult you are today, have the full authority to declare it permanently and irrevocably null and void. Now, we will perform the sacred legal work of this declaration. You will become the sovereign ruler of your own inner kingdom, holding a court of liberation. Take out your journal, your book of self-discovery. At the top of the page, write, "My fraudulent contracts." Now, become a spiritual lawyer and bring the hidden clauses into the light of your awareness. Complete these sentences with brutal honesty. I only deserve to have abundant money if. Let the answers flow. If I work harder than everyone else, if I deny myself pleasure, if I save every penny, write it all down. I only deserve to be in a wonderful, loving relationship if I am a perfect partner, if I never express my own needs, if I fix the other person. I only deserve to feel deep inner peace if I have solved all my problems, if everyone in my life is happy. Expose these impossible, invisible terms you have been living by. When you have written them all down, you must now formally and verbally nullify them. Stand up, hold the paper in your hand and read the clauses aloud. Hear the absurdity, the cruelty of the terms you have placed upon yourself. Then, with all the power and authority of your sovereign self, make this declaration. I state your full name. Having reviewed these contracts, do hereby declare each and every one of them, along with all their hidden subclauses and amendments, to be utterly fraudulent and therefore permanently null, void, and unenforceable throughout all realms of my existence. These agreements were signed under duress and are no longer binding upon me. My worthiness is my natural state. It is unconditional, and it is my birthright. My new contract is with the divine, and its only term is love. This is my decree. So it is said, so it is done. Feel the power of this declaration resonating in your chest, in your voice, in the very air around you. The final step is the physical act of destruction. Take this paper, this relic of an old and finished law, and safely burn it. As you watch the flames consume the ink and the paper, you are not just burning words. You are burning the energetic structure of your old prison. You are watching the very chains of your limitation turn to heat, to light, and to weightless ash. Feel the lightness in your own being as the immense weight of these impossible obligations is lifted from your soul for good. You have not just been released from prison. You have realized there never was a prison, only a belief in one. You are, and always have been, free. With these old, fraudulent contracts now turned to ash, a new, unspoken agreement is ratified between you and the universe. It is a simple contract whose only term is your unconditional deservingness. You no longer have to prove, earn, or justify your existence or your right to joy. You simply have to be. And the universe, the great mirror, which has always been reflecting the terms of your old contracts, now begins to reflect the terms of the new one. It begins to send you evidence, not of your limitations, but of your liberation. It begins to speak to you in a new language, a language of signs, symbols, and synchronicities that confirm your new standing as a worthy, beloved, and powerful co-creator. Now, you must learn how to listen. The old, fraudulent contracts that bound you to a life of struggle and unworthiness have been reduced to ash. You stand now in a new legal and energetic relationship with reality, governed by a single, powerful truth. Your worthiness is inherent and unconditional. The universe, your silent partner in all of creation, has taken note of this new agreement. It has stamped it with its seal, and it immediately begins to send you confirmations. It begins to speak to you, to guide you, to affirm your new state of being. But this communication will not arrive in a formal letter or an email. It will come in a language far older and more subtle than human words. To navigate this next phase of your journey, you must now learn to listen to the native tongue of the cosmos. You must learn the language of the universe. For the purely rational mind, this idea can be a significant stumbling block. The voice of skepticism, conditioned by a worldview that sees the universe as a cold, random, mechanical machine, will immediately dismiss this notion. To this part of your mind, there is no such thing as a meaningful sign. There are only coincidences. The song that plays on the radio with the exact lyrics you needed to hear is just a product of a broadcasting algorithm. The book that falls off the shelf and opens to the perfect page is just an accident of gravity. Running into the one person who can solve your problem is merely a statistical probability. This skeptical voice acts as a filter, systematically explaining away any event that hints at a deeper, intelligent order, because such events threaten its rigid, predictable model of reality. It is a form of perceptual blindness. It is not that the messages are not being sent. It is that you have trained yourself to mark them all as spam. This creates a deep internal conflict between your logical mind and your intuitive heart. When a truly stunning synchronicity occurs, you feel it. There is a jolt, a flash of recognition, a feeling of wonder that chills your skin. Your heart and your gut recognize the moment as significant, as a message intended specifically for you. It feels personal. But almost immediately, the rational mind jumps in to neutralize the magic. It begins its cross-examination, demanding logical proof, searching for the mundane explanation, and labeling the experience a mere coincidence until the feeling of wonder has been safely intellectualized away. You are caught between the soul's whisper of, "This is a sign," and the ego's shout of, "This is just a coincidence." To move forward, you must be willing to grant your intuition a voice, to allow for the possibility that the world is far more mysterious, intelligent, and communicative than your logical mind has been taught to believe. Here is the core message that will serve as your Rosetta Stone for this new language. The universe is constantly in conversation with you. It is not a silent, empty void. It is a living, conscious, and responsive field of intelligence. But it does not communicate in sentences and paragraphs. It speaks in the language of symbols, patterns, and resonance. It communicates through the sudden inspiration that drops into your mind while you are in the shower. It speaks through the recurring numbers you see on clocks and license plates. It speaks through the chance encounter with a stranger, the unexpected call from an old friend, the animal that crosses your path. It is not a loud, obvious dialogue. It is a series of whispers, of nudges, of cosmic breadcrumbs left on your path. Your work is not to demand that the universe learn your language, but to become quiet and observant enough to learn its native tongue. How do you begin to learn any new language? You do not start by trying to understand complex grammar and poetry. You start by learning a few basic words. You immerse yourself. You listen. The most powerful way to begin learning the language of the universe is to start keeping a synchronicity journal. Dedicate a notebook to this practice alone. Your only task is to record the small, meaningful coincidences that happen in your day. At first, you may not notice many, but because you have set the intention to look for them, your awareness will sharpen. Perhaps you are wrestling with a decision and you ask for clarity. Later that day, you walk past a bookstore and a title in the window seems to leap out at you, perfectly addressing your dilemma. Write it down. Perhaps you are feeling lonely and you think of a dear friend you haven't spoken to in ages. Minutes later, your phone rings and it is them. Write it down. Perhaps you are struggling financially and feeling hopeless, and you find a small, forgotten bill in the pocket of an old coat just when you need it. It is not about the amount, it is about the timing. The universe is whispering, "I've got you. You are provided for." Write it down. Note the date, the event, and most importantly, the feeling or thought you were having just before it happened. This journal is your personal textbook and dictionary. A single event can be dismissed as a coincidence, but when you look back over weeks and months of entries, something magical happens. The random dots begin to connect. You will see undeniable patterns. You will notice how a theme from a dream was echoed in a conversation the next day, which then led to an opportunity a week later. You will see how you were warned away from a bad decision by a series of small, frustrating obstacles. You will see how you were guided toward a breakthrough by a trail of clues. What your skeptical mind once dismissed as isolated data points, your intuitive heart will now clearly recognize as a coherent and loving dialogue. You are not alone in a random world. You are in a constant conversation with a vast, creative intelligence. As you become more adept at noticing these signs, you can begin to learn the art of interpretation. This is not about memorizing a universal dictionary of symbols. While a soaring eagle might mean freedom to one person, it might hold a very specific, personal meaning for another. The key is to trust your own immediate, intuitive response. When the synchronicity occurs, what is the very first thought or feeling that arises within you before the analytical mind kicks in? That is your translation. If you see a rainbow and your first feeling is one of profound hope, that is the message. If you keep hearing a particular song and it reminds you of your own inner strength, that is the message. The universe speaks to you in the language of your symbols, your memories, and your feelings. Gradually, as you practice, you will move from being a hesitant beginner to a fluent speaker. You will no longer need to consciously log every event or analyze every sign. You will simply live in a state of flowing conversation with the world around you. You will trust the gut feeling that tells you to turn left instead of right. You will act on the inspired idea without needing external validation. You will recognize the loving reassurance in a beautiful sunset. The distinction between coincidence and communication will dissolve. You will come to understand that everything is communication. Everything is a reflection of your inner state, a response to your frequency, a move in the great cosmic dance. This fluency changes your entire posture towards life. You are no longer a lost traveler, anxiously searching for a map, hoping to find your way. You realize you have a direct line to the divine cartographer. You are no longer a desperate seeker, shouting your desires into an empty void. You realize you are in a loving, responsive dialogue with the source of all things. This profound sense of connection and guidance brings a deep and lasting peace. The frantic need to chase, to force, and to control simply falls away. You know you are being guided, and when you know you are guided, you stop searching for the light. You begin to realize that the light is, and always was, shining from within you. And your only job now is to let it shine as brightly as possible, not just for yourself, but for everyone. You are ready to stop being the student of the language and to become the lighthouse. You have learned to listen. You have attuned your inner ear to the subtle, symbolic language of the universe, and you now walk through your days in a state of flowing conversation with life itself. The frantic energy of the seeker has dissolved, replaced by the calm assurance of one who knows they are being guided. The desperate need to find the map has vanished, because you have realized you are in direct communication with the divine cartographer. This profound shift in your relationship with reality changes your purpose. The question is no longer, what can I get from the world? Or, where can I find my abundance? You have moved beyond the paradigm of seeking. The new, emergent question that arises from your soul is simply, what am I to be now? The answer is that you are to become the destination. You are to become the source. You are to stop seeking the light and to finally accept your true calling, to be the lighthouse. As you have grown on this path, you have likely moved through a stage of becoming a powerful magnet for prosperity. You learn to attract the opportunities, the resources, and the relationships that you desired. This is a vital and necessary stage of empowerment, but it can also contain a subtle trap. It can reinforce the final bastion of the scarcity mindset, the idea of competition. Even as a master of manifestation, you can still fall into the fear that the universe's abundance is a finite pie. You may feel a pang of anxiety when a perceived competitor achieves success, fearing it somehow diminishes your own portion. You may be tempted to hoard your unique knowledge or connections, believing that sharing them would dilute your personal advantage. This is the energy of the magnet, which is fundamentally focused on drawing things inward to the self. It is a powerful state, but it is not the final one. The ultimate evolution of consciousness on this path is the shift from magnet to lighthouse. The conflict is between the ego's desire to continue accumulating personal power and the soul's yearning for selfless, joyful service. A magnet's purpose is to pull things toward itself. A lighthouse has a different function entirely. A lighthouse does not pull anything. Its purpose is to radiate. It stands firm on its rock foundation, connected to its source of power, and it shines its light outward, impersonally, for the benefit of all. It becomes a fixed point of guidance and hope in a vast and sometimes dark ocean. This is your true calling. This is the final destination of your journey. Here is the core message that will illuminate this new way of being. The pinnacle of mastering this frequency is not to become better at attracting things to yourself, but to become a pure, unwavering source of prosperity consciousness for the world. You are not here merely to accumulate light. You are here to be the light. In this state, the frantic energy of attracting and chasing dissolves completely. By simply standing in your truth, embodying the peace and abundance you have cultivated, and shining your unique gifts out into the world without agenda, you will naturally and effortlessly draw to you the people, opportunities, and resources that are in resonance with your light. And, just as importantly, you will simultaneously illuminate the path for countless others whom you may never even meet. Your very being becomes an act of service. So what does it mean to live as a lighthouse? First, it means you must be built on a solid foundation. Your rock is your unwavering connection to Source, to the stillness within, to the truth you have discovered on this journey. You must continue your practices, not because you are trying to get something, but because they are what keep your foundation strong and your light pure. A lighthouse that is not anchored securely to its rock will be toppled by the first major storm. Second, you must understand the nature of your specific light. Your light is the unique combination of your gifts, your wisdom, your passions, and the lessons learned from your own healing journey. It is the authentic frequency that only you can emit. To be a lighthouse, you must have the courage to shine your light, not a dimmed-down, compromised version that you think will be more acceptable to others. The world does not need another imitation. It needs your specific, authentic illumination. The practical application of being a lighthouse is to radiate, not to preach. You are not meant to run up and down the coastline, shouting instructions at every passing ship. Your life becomes the teaching. You embody the peace that others seek. You exhibit a trust in abundance that puzzles and inspires those trapped in scarcity. You handle challenges with a quiet grace that shows others what is possible. People will be drawn to your energy and will ask you for your secret. This is when you share. You begin to practice giving from a place of overflow. Your own cup is so full of peace, love, and abundance that it naturally spills over. You share your knowledge freely, perhaps by writing or speaking about your experiences, not as a calculated marketing strategy, but as a pure offering. You help someone who is struggling, not because you expect karmic points, but because you have an abundance of compassion and it feels good to share it. You mentor someone who is just beginning on a path you have already walked, seeing their success not as a threat, but as a beautiful reflection of the light you have shared. This giving is effortless. It is the natural expression of your abundant state. It does not deplete you. It simply allows more energy from Source to flow through you. A key practice of the lighthouse is to learn to hold the frequency for others. When you encounter people lost in the fog of their own fear and lack, the old impulse might be to feel pity, which is a low-frequency emotion that only validates their victimhood. The lighthouse does something different. It continues to shine its steady light of possibility onto them. In your own mind, you see them not as their story of lack, but as the powerful divine beings they truly are. You hold the vision of their highest potential for them, even when they cannot see it for themselves. You beam your frequency of trust and abundance toward them, offering it as a lifeline they can grab onto if they so choose. You do not try to save the very ship must navigate its own course, but you provide a constant, unwavering light that shows them the way back to their own power. This is the great beauty and simplicity of being the lighthouse. It does not concern itself with the affairs of the ships. It does not judge whether a ship is a grand ocean liner or a humble fishing boat. It does not decide which ships are worthy of its light. Its job is not to manage the ocean. Its job is one thing and one thing only, to shine. In this, there is profound freedom. You are released from the burden of trying to control outcomes, of trying to fix others, of worrying about who is getting what. You simply attend to your foundation, you keep your light bright, and you shine. The ships that are meant for your harbor will be drawn to you as if by magic. These are your soulmate clients, your true friends, your divine partnerships, your perfect opportunities. They are seeking exactly the frequency that you are emitting. Other ships are sailing for different ports, on entirely different journeys. They will see your light, use it to get their bearings, and continue on their way. You will have served them powerfully without ever needing to know their names. This is a life of purpose, peace, and profound, effortless impact. You have finally become what you were always meant to be, a beacon of hope in the world. But even the strongest lighthouse, built on the most solid rock, must endure the storms. It must be prepared for the waves of doubt and the fogs of confusion that will inevitably roll in from the turbulent sea of life. You have become the lighthouse, standing firm on the bedrock of your connection to Source. You shine your unique light of peace and abundance out into the world. You are a beacon of hope, a point of steadfast guidance. It is a beautiful, peaceful, and powerful state of being. But the ocean of life is not always a calm, sunlit mirror. The sky is not always clear. There will be nights when the clouds gather, when the wind begins to howl, and when the waves of the world crash against your foundation with terrifying force. These are the inevitable storms of doubt, of fear, of unexpected chaos. And your journey is not complete until you have learned not just to shine in the calm, but to hold your light steady in the heart of the storm. This is the path to the resilient heart. These spiritual storms can arise from two directions. Sometimes they are external, a sudden and unexpected financial loss that seems to mock your newfound belief in abundance, a trusted relationship that suddenly breaks down, a piece of harsh criticism or a public failure that challenges your sense of worth, an unforeseen health issue that brings fear and uncertainty back into your body. These events can feel like a direct assault on your new reality, a cruel joke played by a malicious universe, designed to prove that all your inner work was for nothing. But often, the most bewildering storms are internal. You can wake up one morning after weeks of feeling connected and joyful and find that the light has simply gone out. For no discernible reason, a grey fog of anxiety has rolled in. The old voices of scarcity and unworthiness, which had been silent for so long, are now shouting in your mind again. The feeling of connection is gone, replaced by a profound sense of spiritual amnesia, as if you have forgotten everything you have learned. This can be the most frightening storm of all, because it feels like a betrayal from within. It tempts you to believe the most dangerous thought of all. I've lost it. I thought I had changed, but I was just fooling myself. I'm back where I started. This experience triggers a deep internal conflict between the fantasy of linear progress and the reality of cyclical growth. We secretly wish for our spiritual path to be a smooth, effortless ascent, a ladder where each rung, once passed, is left behind forever. We believe that once we reach a certain level of awareness, we should be immune to bad days, to doubt, to fear. So when a storm hits, it feels like a catastrophic failure. It contradicts the story we wanted to believe about our journey. We think, I shouldn't be feeling this way anymore, which only adds a layer of shame on top of the pain. But the universe does not operate in straight lines. It moves in spirals and cycles. Life has seasons, nature has seasons, and so does your soul. You are not failing when you revisit an old theme of fear or doubt. You are simply spiraling back around to it at a higher level of consciousness, with new tools and a deeper strength, to heal it more completely this time. The tree that endures the winter is not failing. It is consolidating its energy for the spring. Your heart is no different. Here is the core message that will become your anchor in any storm. Spiritual resilience is not the absence of storms, it is the mastery of navigating them. A setback is not a sign that you have failed, it is a test of your foundation. These storms are not sent to destroy your lighthouse, they are sent to prove its strength. They are an invitation to drive your roots even deeper into the bedrock of your truth. The wind that threatens to topple the tree is the very force that signals its roots to grip the earth more tightly. In the same way, the challenges that threaten your faith are the very experiences that will, in the end, make it unshakable. The key to navigating these storms is not to try and fight the wind and the waves. You cannot reason with a hurricane. The key is to have a pre-planned, deeply practiced emergency protocol. You must know, before the storm hits, exactly what you will do to hold on to your center. You must create your own anchor practice. An anchor does not stop the storm, but it stops your ship from being smashed against the rocks. It holds you fast until the weather passes. Your anchor practice must be simple, accessible, and something you can turn to in a state of distress. Choose it now, while your mind is calm and clear. It could be a specific breathing technique. Box breathing, for example. Inhale for a count of 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. The simple act of focusing on the count and the rhythm overrides the panic signals in your brain. It could be a simple, powerful mantra that you have memorized. This too shall pass. I am held, I am safe, all is well. Even in this, I am connected to my source. It could be a specific piece of music that you know always lifts your spirit or calms your heart. Create a playlist with just that one song, ready to be played on repeat. It could be a physical object, a smooth stone you carry in your pocket, a special piece of jewelry that you can touch to immediately ground yourself back in the present moment and in your truth. When you feel the barometric pressure of your inner world begin to drop, when the anxiety rises, when the fearful thoughts begin to circle, that is your signal to deploy your anchor, immediately and without hesitation. Your only job in that moment is to cling to your practice. Do not analyze the storm. Do not engage in a debate with your fearful thoughts. Do not frantically search for a solution to the external problem. That is all a distraction. Your work is to breathe, to repeat your mantra, to listen to your song, to hold your stone. You hold on to this anchor as if your life depends on it, because the life of your new consciousness does. You do this for 5 minutes, or for an hour, or for as long as it takes for the peak intensity of the storm to pass. Think of yourself as a great, ancient tree. In your first years on the path, you were a young sapling, and even a small storm felt life-threatening. Your roots were shallow, but with every challenge you faced and navigated, you were forced to push your roots deeper. The doubt you overcame sent a root into the soil of faith. The fear you faced sent a root into the soil of courage. The heartbreak you healed sent a root deep into the soil of self-love. Now, you are no longer a sapling. You have weathered many seasons. When the gale force winds of a new challenge begin to blow, you do not panic. You have been here before. You know what to do. You feel the wind, and you allow yourself to bend. You do not resist it with rigid fear. You move with it, with the flexibility born of deep strength, and you feel your great, sprawling root system, your connection to source, your accumulated wisdom, your unwavering faith holding you firm in the earth. The storm may strip you of a few leaves. It may break a few small branches. You may suffer what appear to be minor damages. But the core of you, the trunk, the heartwood, remains untouched, unshakable. And when the storm finally passes and the sun comes out, you are still standing, stronger than before, your roots even deeper, your presence even more magnificent. You have become a shelter for others. This is the resilient heart. This ability to weather the storms, to return to your center faster and faster each time, creates a new kind of confidence. It is not the naive optimism of one who has never been tested. It is the quiet, solid, grounded assurance of a veteran. You no longer fear the weather, because you have absolute trust in your foundation and in your anchor. This deep, embodied knowing that you can handle whatever life brings is the final piece of the puzzle. It is the skill that allows you to move from consciously practicing your new reality to unconsciously being it. All the tools you have gathered, all the wisdom you have gained, all the resilience you have built, now coalesce. They are no longer things you do, they have become who you are. You are ready for the final, effortless step, the full integration. You are ready to simply live in the frequency. You have stood firm as the lighthouse, your foundation secure upon the rock of your truth. You have learned to keep your light shining, not just in the calm and sunny weather, but in the heart of the inevitable storms. You have faced the gale-force winds of doubt and the crashing waves of fear, and you are still standing. This resilience, this embodied knowing that you can navigate whatever life brings, is the final element that allows for the greatest alchemy of all. It is the catalyst that allows you to move from consciously practicing a new way of life to unconsciously being it. The journey of becoming is now complete. The journey of being now begins. This is the great integration. For a long time on this path, your work has been conscious and deliberate. You have been like a student learning a new, complex skill. You have diligently used the tools you have acquired. You have practiced your gratitude. You have forged your intentions. You have weeded your mental garden. You have learned to read the language of the universe. These techniques have been your lifeline, the essential practices that have shifted your frequency and changed your reality. But in this very diligence, there can be a subtle, hidden trap. It is the trap of seeing these practices as a set of spiritual chores you must perform in order to earn or maintain your state of abundance. It can create a low-level anxiety that if you forget to do your visualization or skip a day in your gratitude journal, the magic will stop, the connection will be lost, and you will revert back to your old state of lack. This perspective implies that your natural baseline state is one of insufficiency, and that you must constantly do things to temporarily achieve a state of prosperity. This creates the final and most subtle internal conflict of the journey, the conflict between the identity of the practitioner and the reality of the embodiment. The practitioner is the one who is always working on themselves. They are a person who is trying to be abundant, trying to be peaceful, trying to be connected. Their identity is still fundamentally separate from the state they desire. They are a swimmer who is still consciously thinking about every kick of their legs and every stroke of their arms. They are staying afloat, but it requires constant, deliberate effort. But a profound shift occurs when the practice is no longer a practice. It happens when gratitude is no longer a list you write, but the natural disposition of your heart. It happens when generosity is no longer a technique to create flow, but the spontaneous overflow of a being who knows they are limitless. It happens when you no longer need to interpret signs from the universe, because you are in a state of constant, flowing conversation. This is the shift into embodiment. The conflict is the final, graceful act of letting go of the identity of the one who is trying, and fully, completely, and irrevocably stepping into the identity of the one who is. This is the ultimate destination. This is the grand arrival. The goal of this entire journey was never to have you spend the rest of your life diligently tuning a radio to find a distant signal. The goal was for you to finally realize that you are the broadcast. You are not just the radio, you are the music itself. Prosperity is no longer something you pursue, attract, or manifest. It is the very essence of your being. It is the air you breathe. It is the ground upon which you walk. It is the natural, effortless radiation of a soul that knows its own infinite worth and its unbreakable connection to Source. The practical application of this final stage is a form of sacred anti-practice. It is the great relaxation. Your first instruction is to consciously let go of the striving. Release the feeling that you have to keep working on yourself, as if you are a broken thing that needs constant repair. You have done the work. The new programming has been installed. The new energetic pathways have been carved. Now, your job is to trust the new system. Trust that your subconscious mind, now aligned with abundance, is working for you, not against you. Trust that your heart, now tuned to gratitude, will continue to feel it without your constant prompting. You have spent a long time building a beautiful, automated inner garden. Now, trust its ability to flourish. Your actions now come from a completely different place. Before, you acted in order to become. You took actions you hoped would make you prosperous. Now, you act because you already are. Before taking an action, you can simply ask, what would a person who is already whole, peaceful, and infinitely abundant do in this situation? The answer will arise not from a place of fear or need, but from a place of creativity, joy, and service. The action is no longer a desperate means to an end. It is a joyful expression of the state you already inhabit, and you must learn to trust your new normal. As wonderful things flow into your life with increasing ease and grace, they will no longer feel shocking or surprising. They will not trigger the old feelings of imposter syndrome or unworthiness. They will feel natural. They will feel normal, because they are. They are simply the outer world finally catching up and creating a perfect reflection of the inner reality you have so patiently and lovingly cultivated. Your new baseline is peace. Your new normal is flow. Your new reality is a state of quiet, consistent, and graceful abundance in all its forms. This entire journey can be likened to learning how to swim. At first, you stand at the edge of the pool, terrified of the water, clinging to your belief that you will surely sink. This is the state of scarcity. Then, with a guide, you tentatively enter the water. You begin to learn the techniques. You kick, you paddle, you think about your breath. You are clumsy. You swallow some water. You are using immense effort just to keep your head above the surface. This is the phase of conscious practice, of doing the work. But you persist, and one day, a magical shift happens. You are in the water, and you realize you are no longer thinking about it. Your body just knows what to do. The movements have become second nature. You are no longer a person learning to swim. You are, quite simply, a swimmer. You have become one with the water. You can move through it with effortless grace and power. You are no longer fighting the element. You are in harmony with it. This is where you are now. You are a swimmer. You have integrated with the great river of life. You have done the work of a lifetime, and it has culminated in a state of beautiful, simple, and profound effortlessness. You have returned to your true nature. You have remembered who you have always been. Beneath all the layers of fear and conditioning, you are a divine expression of an abundant universe, a unique and precious note in the grand symphony of creation, a radiant lighthouse shining your beautiful, irreplaceable light. There is nothing left to do. There is nothing left to chase. There is only this peace, this wholeness, this grace. Simply be what you are, and from that state of being, your most magnificent life will unfold. We have traveled far together on this inner landscape. We began in the echoing canyon of scarcity, feeling a sense of lack even amidst a world of plenty. You started this journey believing that prosperity was a secret frequency, a distant broadcast from a radio station you had to struggle to find, turning the dial through endless fields of static, hoping to catch a faint and fleeting signal. You learned to quiet the noise. You built a sacred temple within your own heart. You found the currency of stillness and forged the sword of your intention. You practiced the alchemy of gratitude. You cut the anchors of your past, and you learned to flow with the great river of receiving. You transformed your action into a sacred dance, learned to read the mirror of the world, tended to the garden of your mind, and found the courage to be the lighthouse. And in the end, you have arrived at the final, simple, and most profound truth. You are not the listener, desperately trying to tune in. You are not the radio, hoping to receive a clear signal. You are the song itself. The frequency of prosperity was never outside of you. It is the natural, effortless music of your own soul, the resonance of a being in perfect alignment with its source. Your peace, your joy, your abundance, these are not things that come to you. They are qualities that emanate from you when you are no longer blocking their flow. Nothing new has been given to you on this journey. We have simply, together, chipped away at the layers of false belief, fear, and conditioning that were obscuring the masterpiece that you have always been. All the power, all the wealth, all the love you could ever desire was already, and has always been, your inherent nature. The universe was never withholding its treasures from you. It was simply waiting with infinite patience for you to recognize your own. So now, there is nothing left to do. There is nothing left to strive for. The journey is complete. The only invitation that remains is to simply be. Take a deep, slow breath. Feel the gentle, steady hum of life in your body. Feel the quiet presence of your own awareness. That simple, unassuming sensation is the frequency. It is the wealth. It is the peace. It is home. Live from this place. Act from this place. Love from this place. The great work is finally over. The great work is not to get more, but to simply, finally be more of who you truly are.